Ipswich, Murich in goal, Harry Clark at right back, O'Shea, Burgess and Davis the rest of their defence. Morsey, Cayusta in the middle, Burns, Chaplin, Hutchison and Schmodix. And Newcastle United, Dubravka in goal, Livramento, Scher, Byrne and Hall, Bruno, Tonali and Willock, Murphy, Gordon and Isak. The United bench, Odysseus, Trippier, Barnes, Target, Osula, Almiron, Kelly, Longstaff and Miley. Scher and Tonali, got to be careful, they are one more booking away from an automatic one-match Premier League ban. It's an opportunity, John Anderson, to continue the momentum after two good results, and you make them favourites given the gap between them in the Premier League table and also Newcastle's progress in the last couple of games.
Yeah, you definitely would. You know, I think Chris Jones last night had us odds on to beat these today. Bookies don't very often get it wrong, do they?
We're underway on BBC Radio Newcastle and NUFC TV, and Newcastle have immediately got Jacob Murphy in on the right hand side, shooting towards the left. Here's the ball in from Murphy, which comes down to and Newcastle United, after 25 seconds, have hit the back of the net, but the flag has gone up after Isak's shot into the ground went up into the top of the net. Now VAR, as a matter of course, will check, but the offside
Murphy did look offside.
Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, Murphy did look offside, to be fair.
It was a quick ball over the top on the far right hand side. Murphy got away, looked for Willock with the cross, half cleared as far as Isak. Great finish, but will it count? Ipswich preparing to kick off. It would be Jacob Murphy for the offside rather than Alexander Isak. And VAR still having a look with John Brooks, the official in charge of the video technology. Newcastle players surrounding the referee, but it's all quite mild-mannered and calm. Looks tight, but I think he might just be ahead, Jacob Murphy, but we'll see, John Anderson, whether Newcastle are awarded a goal, and an early goal at that.
Yeah, I mean, almost. The boy tries to play him offside. Does he get it right? I tell you what, they're taking their time over it.
Cameron Burgess, the centre-back, who didn't quite get it right in terms of the dealing with the ball over the top, and it's just whether the line was in place from him with Jacob Murphy. And Murphy...
It's taken an eternity, isn't it? This could be really close.
It's very, very tight. We haven't yet seen the lines drawn on the pitch. We've now played 2 minutes since the ball hit the net, and Newcastle United are still waiting to find out whether they have taken a very early lead. Inside 30 seconds at Portman Road. Referee Stuart Atwell still talking to United players. Isak, Bruno, Willock, a couple of the Ipswich boys are there with Stuart Atwell as well. And
come on!
We continue to wait, and you find the wait frustrating, don't you?
It's ridiculous how long it takes.
What does VAR say? Jacob Murphy onside or offside before Alexander Isak finished the opportunity and put the ball in the net. Here's the referee to put the whistle to his lips. He's given the goal. He's given the goal. Newcastle United have an early lead after a 3-minute VAR check. Jacob Murphy ruled onside from the ball over the top, and as he broke up the right hand side, his cross came to Alexander Isak, who finished superbly into the ground and up and into the net. Murphy onside on the far side, Isak into the net, and finally the VAR check is complete, and it's Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 1.
How long did that take? I mean, what? Ball's been in play 40 seconds and we played nearly 5 minutes.
Well, that is the perfect way to get the afternoon going. 1-0 to Newcastle United, and big celebrations on the far side from the away supporters. They've got half of the upper tier and about a quarter of the lower tier. They're all on their feet, lots of black and white on show, lots of red and white Santa hats that we can see. It is Christmas after all. This weekend last year they went to Luton, a promoted team, and lost 1-0. Today they lead 1-0, but it was very, very tight. And I don't know, sometimes it's the perspective, isn't it? It's the angle of the camera when it comes to trying to judge whether a player is onside or offside. Lewis Hall has been fouled by Ipswich winger Wes Burns from a ball rolled up the line near side, right in front of the assistant referee Konstantin Hatzidakis, who flags, and Newcastle get a free kick which they've taken quickly and short. And now Byrne up to Isak, heads it on. Gordon coming in off the left wing. Harry Clark for Ipswich forwards. Livramento header into midfield straight to Sam Morsey, and now Cayusta against Murphy. Newcastle have it back. Livramento away from Cayusta. Strong run from Livramento, now into the Ipswich half and still going. What about this from Livramento? Look from Murphy, just overhit it, but he made good progress under pressure.
Yeah, he picked it up. He's good at that, isn't he? When he picks it up and he starts running, he gets himself into really good advanced positions, good areas.
Here's Isak, 5 yards outside the area to Willock. Gordon makes a run to the left. Willock rolls him in. Anthony Gordon cuts inside. Still Gordon, and scoops the ball across the box. Ipswich half clear, and then out off Clark for a Newcastle throw 30 yards from goal.
They don't look convincing defensively, do they? Ipswich getting themselves all in a muddle. Not the start they would have hoped for. The goal down after 25 seconds.
That's Fabian Schär with a diagonal ball, but it's too high for Jacob Murphy. And a throw taken by Leif Davis. Schmodix might have slipped on the greasy surface as the rain continues to fall here at Portman Road. And Newcastle have the ball back following the Ipswich throw. Hall to Dubravka with Hutchinson closing down. Fabian Schär's got it again. Bruno comes to get it at the edge of the United box, gives it to Schär in the right corner, and another diagonal ball, and Harry Clark's lost the flight of it. Lewis Hall chasing, but Clark managed to recover, did well eventually. Back to goalkeeper Muric, and now Newcastle have it back. There were two balls on the pitch. Livramento went to intercept the one that was in play, and now Ipswich win it back through Davis, and Schmodix on the left tries to win a corner. Tonali makes a block. Cross in from the left-hand side, caught by Dubravka. Newcastle have it. There were two balls on the pitch.
Yeah.
When Muric played it out to the left,
should he not have stopped the game?
Yeah, Davis kicked off the spare ball. Newcastle played with the one that was in play, and then they lost it, and Ipswich went on that break.
Strange decision. I thought he would have stopped the game.
This is Willock, Murphy and Isak with him. Joe Willock just outside the area, on towards Isak, cleared, scooped out for a throw by the Ipswich centre-half Dara O'Shea. 1-0 to Newcastle, 8 minutes gone. Isak scored after a lengthy VAR check against Murphy, who was ruled onside. It's BBC Radio Newcastle. If you want the Sunderland game against Norwich, it's on DAB and Freeview Channel 711. Lewis Hall looking for Gordon, intercepted by Clark at fullback, and Burns does well under pressure on the near side, and Ipswich play it now to centre-back Burgess, and away to the far side to Davis, still in the defensive third, with Davis on the far touchline into midfield. Hutchison on his chest, holds it up, finds Cayusta with the short sleeves and gloves, and then Ipswich give it away. Bruno wide right to Murphy. Isak wants it in the middle. There's four Newcastle bodies in there. One of them is Bruno, foot on the ball. turns and goes back to the wide position to Livramento. Ipswich, everybody behind the ball. Newcastle to Share now in the middle of Ipswich's half. Big Dan Burn to Share and on to Tonali, who turns and goes wide right to Livramento again. Back to Tonali, 30 yards out. Fabian Share with it, moving the ball around, and Ipswich trying to sit in and close off the space. Bruno up to Isak, can't hold it. And the home side regain possession, and then Bruno wins it back off Hutchinson, wins it back with ease. Murphy through the legs of his man, and Bruno across from the right hand side, misses out Isak. Ipswich can't clear. Now Hall, edge of the D, gives it to Gordon close to the corner of the box, back inside. Sandro Tonali hits one. Ooh, it's the stanchion, went for the far top corner, firmly struck from Tonali, but just too high.
Yeah, it's a good hit, isn't it? Just rolled him, gets it out of his feet nice and early, takes the hit on. Toes just rising. Worrying signs for Ipswich though.
Newcastle 1-0 up and completely in charge, John Anderson.
Yeah, in the opening 10 minutes, I mean, it's an absolutely perfect start, wonderful start. Ipswich can't get hold of the ball.
Newcastle won it there from the goal kick. Ipswich through Morsey in midfield. This could be interesting. On to Hutchinson. Schmodix makes the run up ahead through the centre. Hutchinson left-footed from the far side. It's blocked. Davis with a dangerous cross.
Great
header. It's a brave header, and it's a head injury. Lewis Hall is down.
It's a great header.
Came charging in, Hall, to clear the danger. Really wicked delivery, whipped in from Davis, left-footed, far side of the pitch, and that is brave from Lewis Hall. Threw himself, threw his head into danger, and caught as he did so. Referee Stuart Atwell is making sure that Lewis Hall's all right. He doesn't need any treatment, but he has to stop the game if there is any sense that there could be a head injury. 12 minutes played, Ipswich 0, Newcastle 1. Isak with the goal, his 9th of the season. And the home fans at a packed Portman Road don't like the fact Newcastle get the ball because the referee stopped the game. Dubravka to Burn. Now Tonali under pressure. Goes into a challenge with Connor Chaplin. Referee points to the ball and says it was a fair challenge. To be fair, Chaplin doesn't appeal. It's the home supporters getting upset.
Yeah, he's not endearing himself, is he?
Big day for them, and they were behind after 25 seconds. And then they had the 3-minute VAR check. But it's not the start Ipswich were looking for. And they're trying to find a way back into the game, and they get a free kick on the far side. The referee has given them something. It was a foul on the touchline next to the start of the away section.
Dan Bourne on Smodage, wasn't it?
Had his arms around his waist, and Schmodix took a tumble. Jens Kajusta, on loan from Napoli, previously linked to Newcastle, the central midfielder, Isak's international teammate. Take a look at him, see what you think. It's a name that would come up regularly in previous transfer windows in connection with Newcastle, but he's not alone in that regard, is he?
No.
1-0 the score. Earlier today, Aston Villa beat Manchester City 2-1. Dubravka to Share, right side in Newcastle's defensive part of the pitch. Murphy making a run through the middle. Share plays it short to Willock, who's moved over to the right-hand side of midfield. The fluidity of Newcastle's midfield three there in evidence. Now Bruno in the centre and Tonali to the right. He's on the ball, the Italian. Back to Share and into Dubravka. Forwards to Livramento, who's popped up in the middle here. Turns away into space. Hall wants it. Gordon as well next to halfway. Here is Anthony Gordon. Back to Lewis Hall. Speaking to some media who cover Ipswich, Ando, before the game, they were worried about Harry Clark up against Anthony Gordon. He's not had the chance to run at him yet.
No, not yet.
but you might remember Harry Clarke's Premier League debut at Brentford. He was credited with an own goal, which was then taken off him. He gave away a penalty and got sent off. Here's Jacob Murphy in behind, right-hand side, manages to get the cross in. Here's Gordon! Header into the ground and over the top. Well, he got away from his man that time and met Murphy's cross, but a ball that was hung up, and Gordon connected, but couldn't make the most of the opportunity with the header. It bounced into the ground and over the crossbar.
Oh, he's coming on to it. You fancy him to score. Heads it down, just takes a big bounce and bounces straight over the top of the crossbar. Huge opportunity to double the score.
Dan Burn with a header at the other end to Livramento. Bruno on halfway, Cayusta on his shoulder. Bruno with the bleached hair, the new hair colour, and bright red boots, back to Burn. Here's Isak, scorer of the only goal. Through the middle, Joe Willock. Oh, he couldn't take it in his stride.
But Clarke totally lost him. He just let him run.
It's back through with goalkeeper Muric, but that was a turn from Isak and the right ball, and the run from Willock.
Just lost his footing, doesn't he?
He seems to have caught the end of his boot in the turf. He went for it with his right foot. It could have come onto his left maybe, but they were almost in a one-on-one situation there with the goalkeeper. 15 minutes played, Ando. You are not at all impressed by Ipswich defensively.
No, look, we've started really brightly. I mean, obviously the goal after 25 seconds, but every time we get it into those advanced areas, you're just causing Ipswich all sorts of problems. They just can't handle it.
Isak drops in deep to play it wide right now. He's got it back edge of the area. Still Alexander Isak looking for another goal. Finds Murphy. He goes for a shot left-footed, and it's just wide from Jacob Murphy. In confident mood. Set up 2 goals at Brentford. Scored 2 against Leicester. Hit the post the other night and played a part in Newcastle's opener today, and they're not too far wide on the turn, left-footed.
Yeah, it's just drifted off that right-hand side. It's another one of those. It's always moving away from goal, though.
Fabian Schär wins a comfortable header in front of Schmodix on halfway. Bruno with a bit of time in midfield, back to Burn, and Schär right-hand side, out wide. Burn in the centre, back to goalkeeper Dubravka wearing green and yellow. Muric at the other end in bright yellow. Referee all in black today. And Newcastle with a 1-0 lead here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Lead here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Centre half Burgess misses the ball, then O'Shea forwards. Scored against them last season for Burnley at Turf Moor. Dara O'Shea, consolation goal, and Muric was playing in that game. Newcastle won 4-1 in May. Both now Ipswich players. Cayusta, left side of central midfield. Plays it back to Burgess, the 6'4" centre half, an international with Australia. Morsey clips it to O'Shea in front of the penalty area. Clarke on to Chaplin. Given away straight to Lewis Hall. Hall turns inside, passes it to Bruno, and Newcastle a few levels above Ipswich here on the evidence of the opening 18 minutes. 1-0 ahead through Isak. Bruno across the halfway line to Tonali, back to Bruno. And they're looking for the next pass, Newcastle. Murphy tries to get in behind. Tonali looks for him. And Leif Davis won the header. It's a United throw 25, 30 yards from the goal.
Just can't keep it, can they? Ipswich. They've been taught a little bit of a lesson here early on.
Burn to Hall, just behind the halfway line. Forwards to Gordon, trying to help it on. Stopped by Clarke. And that's a good run by Burns away from the challenge of Hall. Tonali with him, low cross from Burns. Schmodix in the penalty area, near side, back to Wes Burns, the Ipswich right winger. Harry Clarke, first time cross, it's a decent one. Bruno's flicked header away. And Davis decides to keep it in rather than letting it run for a
no
throw.
urgency about them at all, though, is there?
Thought he was just going to let that go out. It's gone back to Morsey. And Cayusta away from Livramento. Cayusta with a shot from the left side of the penalty area. Tried to beat Dubravka at his near post. It just went wide. But that's Ipswich's best moment, best move of the game so far. Still 1-0 to Newcastle.
First shot. First effort they've had on goal, always rising high over the top with his left foot, never really troubling Dubravka.
Dubravka long kick towards Isak, header from O'Shea. And then Chaplin against Tonali, but he's got it back. Now a through ball, Dubravka off his line and makes a block with Hutchinson for Ipswich, trying to get on the end of it in the penalty area. Clark, 35 yards out, plays the ball into centre to Morsey. This is Ipswich with their first spell of pressure in heavy rain at Portman Road. And dreadful conditions. Newcastle trying to repel another attack. Bruno with a challenge. Gordon now to Willock. He's giving it away, giving it straight to Burns. Taking on Gordon and Hall, and it's the latter who makes a block, and Ipswich have a throw next to the corner flag on the near side. 1-0 to Newcastle United. And the fullback Harry Clark, Ipswich born, but went to the Arsenal Academy before coming to his hometown club last year. He takes the throw, cleared by Dan Burn at the near post, then into the central position to Cayusta. They try to play a move up the far side, and here go Newcastle. Isak with a ball away up the right hand side. Bruno charging towards the penalty area, Murphy with him. Here's Bruno, plays in Jacob Murphy. Big block challenge, big recovery challenge by the Ipswich skipper as Murphy tried to get the shot away from the right side of the penalty area. It's gone for a throw for Newcastle, but they were close there to making it 2-0.
Well, they just left themselves wide open. They threw so many blue shirts forward. All of a sudden, we just broke, and there wasn't a blue shirt anywhere. Skipper did well to get back and get the block in. Couple of goals elsewhere to tell you about after this Newcastle attack. Tonali's given it away to Amari Hutchinson, Ipswich's record signing, and he plays it inside. The little winger on loan from Chelsea last season, signed permanently for 20 million. One of their danger men. Haven't really had him in the game so far. Newcastle with the ball on halfway, still 1-0 up midway through the first half. 1-0 down are Sunderland at home to Norwich, Ipswich's big rivals. And commentary on that one from the Stadium of Light, Freeview channel 711 or BBC Radio Newcastle on DAB. And in the National League, Gateshead 1-0 up at Ebbsfleet through midfielder Callum Whelan. Share to Bruno, Livramento back to Share in front of the Newcastle penalty box. Inside it goes to Dubravka, second Premier League appearance of the season for him. Here's Gordon, turns a couple of times, bamboozled Clark, but then overran the ball in the centre, lost it, and Ipswich, O'Shea back to the goalkeeper. Gordon trying to close down, blocked off by the Irish defender O'Shea, and Muric into the feet of Cayusta. Gets it back from Burgess, gives it to him again, and then they use the goalkeeper. Isak closing down, Morsey to O'Shea, and they pass their way around the Newcastle press, have Ipswich, and then they've given it straight to Sandro Tonali on the halfway line. Jacob Murphy, Tonali up ahead, Isak in the box, Alexander Isak straight at the keeper. What a chance again.
Isak,
how many times have we seen him do that this season?
It's when he gets one-on-one. Isak, that those
just plays it straight at the keeper.
opportunities are often not taken. That was a great ball to find him from Murphy, and Isak took a touch, and then with the inside of his right boot from about 10 yards has lifted it up straight into the hands of Aaron Muric, anywhere low or to the side of the keeper, and that's 2-0. It's a massive opportunity to double the lead as Ipswich go on the attack up the near side. Livramento away, Murphy on into midfield, straight to Morsey. 25 on the clock at Portman Road on BBC Radio Newcastle. He's got to score there.
Oh, yeah. How many times have we said that in recent games? I mean, how many of them has he had where he's clean through on the keeper and just hits it straight at him?
Burns with a dangerous delivery. Hard.
What a
about
ball.
Chest height across the 6-yard box.
Nobody wants to score. Nobody wants to gamble. Get in on it.
Well, they're missing their leading scorer, Liam Delap, 6 goals. And you might have felt that he would have been throwing himself at that sort of delivery. Dubravka couldn't come for it. Defenders couldn't touch it. But nobody in Ipswich blue and white made a move for it. Newcastle throw. Livramento and Tonali play their way out of trouble, and the ball bounces once in the Ipswich half, and they've seen it out for a throw of their own. And no hurry to take it. Eddie Howe makes his way.
They've been in no hurry to do anything. They've been really placid. No pace about the way they're playing at all.
Eddie Howe now with arms folded outside the technical area, joined by Jason Tyndall. Ipswich play it to Cayusta in midfield. Bruno all over him. He manages to hold him off. It's Clark, almost given away to Bruno. Played Cayusta into big trouble, and the Ipswich midfielder did very well to come away with the ball. Now Clark back to O'Shea. By the way, Jack Clark, who they signed from Sunderland, on the bench today for Ipswich. A forward ball out from the back, intercepted by Scher. Newcastle looking to attack themselves now. Fabian Scher into the final third, but tried to slide it in behind for Isak, and Ipswich intercept. Now Joe Willock's got it, and it's with Bruno away from Chaplin, who's had a bit of a swipe at him next to the centre circle. A talking to from referee Stuart Atwell, and a Newcastle free kick.
Just can't keep the ball, can they? Ipswich keep giving it away as the rain belts down here.
We are covered by a huge roof.
I'm pleased we're not at St James's.
I know, yeah. Everyone would get a good soaking there. Newcastle have the 1-0 lead, given to them after 25 seconds by Isak, but there was a 3-minute VAR check to determine that Jacob Murphy was onside in the build-up. And a free kick here, just in front of the centre circle. Byrne and Scher have gone forwards. Ipswich holding their line in front of the D. Lewis Hall clips it up, looking for Fabian Scher. 2 Ipswich headers away. Livramento to Hall, might go back to Dubravka from halfway, and does. 28th minute. Dan Burn stayed up there. Clark lets it run. Muric, the Kosovan international, drives it over to the far side to Burgess, one of the players that has come on the journey with them up the leagues, part of their League One team, and then the Championship side that was promoted as well. Back to Muric. A reminder, Sunderland 0, Norwich 1 on DAB and Freeview channel 719, the commentary from the Stadium of Light. Clark to the edge of the penalty area. Cayusta. Bruno closes down the keeper. Up to Morsey. He's missed it. Dan Byrne has it now near to halfway, and Tonali runs back with the ball into Newcastle's half, and Hall safely. No risk taking from Lewis Hall to Dubravka. Out to Scher, right corner of the penalty area. Murphy comes in deep. Scher turns inside his man, back to Dubravka, and a long ball away. There's nobody there in white and green for Newcastle. Header from Burgess straight to Bruno, on to Murphy, and he's lifted it up. It's come over to the near side. Burns with the header. And then that's going to be a Newcastle throw. Ipswich had the last touch. Gordon on halfway to Willock, closed down, back to Gordon. Inside to Tonali. Newcastle keeping possession on this near side of the pitch in their own half. Still haven't been able to get Gordon isolated 1v1 with Clark.
No, not yet.
Isak drops in, takes it. And the ball is behind Gordon, who made the forward run. Isak thought he'd held his position. So it's an Ipswich throw. His movement's been good. Isak scored once, but we'll know he should have had two. Clark closed down by Gordon. Up the line it goes. Byrne forwards. Chaplin inside to Kayusta, who's got the freedom of the middle of the park and is driving forwards, but then misplaces a pass, and it's straight to Tonali. Jacob Murphy on the move for Newcastle.
Yeah, it's not the first time that's happened, is it?
Laid off to Bruno in the centre circle. And now for Gordon. Here's his opportunity to run at his man. They double up on him. Hall makes a forward run, gets it from Gordon, and a low cross to the near post caught by Muric.
Yeah, just couldn't get Anton on the cross. Rolls safely into the arms of the keeper.
We've played half an hour. Newcastle lead 1-0. Ipswich playing it again with a couple of dicey balls out from the back involving the goalkeeper and defenders facing their own goal. They move it into midfield, back to Clark. Forwards it goes. Well, Schmodix, who's barely been involved, he missed the game last week, back today.
Clark delayed it, didn't he?
Yeah, he
delayed it and delayed it. All of a sudden Schmodix finds himself in an offside position, just lets the ball go.
It was neither the right run nor the right ball. Tonali away from Chaplin, just stronger than the Ipswich man. Finding Willock inside to Isak, close to the edge of the penalty area. Now into the box for Anthony Gordon, inside onto his right. Still Gordon plays the pass. Jacob Murphy hits one and in. Jacob Murphy off the underside of the crossbar and into the back of the net. He is having a purple patch, Jacob Murphy. 2 goals last week against Leicester, and today a hand in Isak's opener, and now another goal for himself. And it's a powerful strike that crashed off the underside of the bar beyond Muric and into the back of the net. 32 played. Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 2.
Well, the marking's non-existent, is it? I mean, Gordon just picks it up. You're looking for the left back. You just don't know where the left back is. He's got all the time in the world to get it out, have a touch, get it out of his feet, line the shot up and hit it. No one near him.
He really gave that one everything, Murphy. So much power. Muric is 6'6". Got it up and above him and off the underside of the bar and in. Accuracy from Murphy, and a 2-goal lead, John Anderson, that I say to you is far more reflective of the way the game has actually played out. Yeah, and you'd be surprised if it stayed 2-0, to be quite honest. The way that this game has gone, they've won it back in the middle of midfield. Bruno onto Isak. Murphy could have it. Murphy gets it. To be fair to Murphy, the ball favoured the defender, and Burgess slid in just before he was about to take a touch. Hutchinson for Ipswich on the turn and away from Tonali on the centre spot, and keeps possession by playing it back to Clark. Eddie Howe frustrated with something, arms outstretched, pointing and shouting in the direction of some of his players. Ipswich have kept possession, but they've gone backwards with it, and Newcastle, it's a commanding, a comfortable lead. Byrne now from a forward ball to Hall. He's got man at his back, holds him off, and it's Livramento. It's really, really comfortable, this.
Oh, so comfortable. It's
Isak wants to be played in behind. Bruno's still got it, carries it. Willock now trying to find Isak. He was offside and Willock couldn't get it onto him anyway. they could, Newcastle, because they're in the mood and they've won it through Tonali, win this by a few. Here's Gordon into the box, goes on the outside, blocked by Clark, and Gordon has tripped Morsey, who was doubling up. That's what they've done to Anthony Gordon on the odd occasion he's had.
They just can't keep the ball though, Ipswich. You know, they're not helping themselves, but they're being outclassed here.
The odd occasion Gordon's had it in that left wing, left forward position. They've got two around him and he tripped Morsey. Played out from the back by Ipswich. Shea gets his boot to the ball. Schmodix manages to regain possession for Ipswich, plays a pass, then slips, and then Kayusta loses out to Bruno.
Not the first time.
Ipswich 0, Newcastle 2. Isak and Murphy, and Byrne on halfway. The away fans, long journey. Of them, and many of them getting a good soaking on the far side, but they're having a great afternoon. Hall to Tonali, over the top. The first one is miscued or misplaced because there's nobody there in a white and green Newcastle shirt. They're going through all the songs. The Newcastle fans been chanting Sir Bobby Robson's name this afternoon as well. Sir Bobby Robson stand is the end of the ground that Newcastle have scored twice at. We have a stoppage. Ipswich, Connor Chaplin.
He's never seen a ball, has he?
Has gone down and requires some treatment. Another player that's come up with Ipswich, Chaplin. He scored in all four of the top divisions of English football, and Jack Taylor, who's on the bench, has scored in the top 5 leagues, including the National League. And a lot of their players are new to this level, new to the Premier League. Also on the bench for Ipswich today, Calvin Phillips, who, remember January, and know when Newcastle looked at him, but with PSR a factor, they didn't make the move. He went to West Ham, didn't work out, and now he's not able to get into the Ipswich team at the moment.
What does that say?
He has started games. He's had a suspension and a knock, I think, but a substitute today for Ipswich, Calvin Phillips, as is Jack Clark and Nathan Broadhead, two former Sunderland players. Newcastle lead 2-0, 8 minutes to the break. Chaplin is going to come back on. He's getting some words from his manager, Kieran McKenna. Ipswich put the ball out. Newcastle through Murphy and Isak give it back to them. Muric into midfield. That's the way they play, but they lose it to Murphy. Tonali, just too hard for Bruno, who made the run, ghosted into that position. Edge of the area from midfield.
They're just too lightweight in the middle of the park. They're getting pushed and shoved around all over the place.
Well, you look at the 4 forward players, Hutchinson, Chaplin, Burns and Schmodix, and they're all 5'5" to 5'9",
yeah.
So there's no height there.
No,
there's not a lot of physicality. Here's Livramento, they've won it back again. Isak to Bruno, right corner of the area. Isak in the box, makes a run near post, gets it, but is dispossessed by O'Shea, and his clearance goes out for a throw. They're really missing Delap up front, who does have a bit more physicality about his game. Hall to Gordon, back into the Newcastle half. Nottingham Forest 1-0 up at Brentford. Ola Aina, the fullback, scored for Forest.
Oh,
Isak,
now they're in trouble.
he's got loads of room, halfway, right-hand side, plays it up the line to Murphy. Gordon wants it at the far post. caught by Muric in the 6-yard box. The right idea, and Gordon was gearing up for a tap-in, but the goalkeeper got there.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst ball played in, was it? Just needed somebody getting across that near post. But Isak's dropping into the hole, nobody's coming with him, nobody's picking him up. He's allowed to get it, turn, start things off again.
He's done that all afternoon.
Yeah.
Newcastle lead by 2-0. Their first visit to Portman Road, 7.5 years, and their first Premier League encounter with Ipswich since the 2001-2002 season. They won here that year. Nobby Solano scored in a 1-0 victory in a season Newcastle finished 4th. Here's a ball into the box towards Schmodix. It's gone away from goal, but he's kept it in, and now he's been flagged offside. It's the only disappointment, John Anderson, that it's not a lead by more goals. It's 2-0 at the moment. Isak with a big chance. They've had other moments and opportunities around the box as well.
It should be more. I mean, we've seen very little of Ipswich. And look, we've seen Ipswich and we've seen Leicester in the spot in the last fortnight. The one thing you would say is the gulf between Premier League and Championships getting bigger season by season.
Newcastle with a throw on the left. Gordon quickly with it to Isak into the box. Still Isak rolls it back to Gordon. Delivers a cross. It's too long though for Bruno. So it's a goal kick in the 41st minute. We'll have some reaction from Eddie Howe and a phone in after 5 on BBC Radio Newcastle and also on BBC Sounds, sharing the post-match discussion with Sunderland, who are losing 1-0 at home to Norwich. DAB and Freeview Channel 711 if you're looking for the Sunderland commentary this afternoon. Here Newcastle lead Ipswich 2-0. Davis on the far side to Hutchinson, back to centre-back Burgess. All the way back to Muric again in the penalty box. Not a lot for the home fans at a packed Portman Road. Not many empty blue seats today to get excited about. Here's Gordon. He's won it back on halfway and is on the move. Anthony Gordon at speed, edge of the area to Isak. Isak with a curler towards the far corner, and Muric spilled it and gathered at the second attempt at the feet of Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, he made that save more difficult than it actually was. I mean, there's a bit of curl on it, but it's straight at him. Almost dropped it, didn't he? Grabbed it at the second attempt. It's
a Tyneside 2-0 away from home double, because in the National League, Gateshead, who were 4th in the table going into the weekend, lead Ebbsfleet 2-0. A penalty from Luke Hannant, who last week scored 2 penalties and then put another one over the bar. No mistake from him today. Here's Ipswich with a ball for Hutchinson. Tonali with him. He'd made a run off, but he didn't have the legs to run in behind, and Tonali
he just gets out-muscled.
Has done exactly that. Got in the right position, out-muscled him, found Murphy, and Newcastle threatening to get away again. Jacob Murphy's done well, seen a gap, played the ball through it for Anthony Gordon. Hall on the overlap. Gordon comes into the centre to Bruno, gets it out of his feet, but then Chaplin makes a challenge and pushes the ball back to a blue shirt, and Ipswich have possession again. And they've worked it up to Wes Burns. It was a good play from Leif Davis, the left back, into midfield, and then Newcastle regained possession. Ipswich are just not able to play at the same level as Newcastle, and you can hear the frustration from the home fans.
Too many weak players. Not enough physicality in that side.
Wouldn't be surprised if Kieran McKenna made changes at half-time. Newcastle will be looking to get to the break with a third goal. Murphy to Bruno. It's a crowded central midfield area. He goes back to Share. got about 90 seconds before on time for the VAR check. There should be 3 minutes at least put onto this first half. Burn up to Gordon, it was too high for him, and seems to have hurt himself when he landed. He's back on his feet now. Ipswich up to Hutchinson, around the corner for Cayusta. Davis has got space outside, and he receives it, plays it to Chaplin, edge of the D, back to Hutchinson. Bruno forces him backwards to Morsey, wide right it goes. Where's Burns looking for an option? It's back to Clark. There's no movement from Ipswich.
It's too slow.
Morsey to Clark.
We're going to end up back with a keeper.
And it's gone to O'Shea on the halfway line, and yeah, back to the keeper. Now Burgess next to the centre circle. Newcastle have pushed up to the middle of their half with the defensive line. Wide left to Davis. Drives a ball up towards Chaplin. Edge of the box, looking for the knockdown to Schmodix. Newcastle intercept and then head away, and Murphy to Livramento, and there's going to be a minimum of 4 additional minutes on BBC Radio Newcastle as Bruno gets away from his man in the middle of midfield, lays it off to Isak.
Chaplin's too weak in there, just gets pushed and shoved all over the place.
Tonali looked for a return ball to Isak. Ipswich have got it back, and now Schmodix into the penalty area. Too high with a left-footed shot into the fans behind the goal.
Never threatened, did it?
Martin Dubravka putting the ball on the 6-yard line. Newcastle make their way forwards. Isak and Murphy the goal scorers. And as we reach half-time, the rain finally ceases after they all got soaked for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Back to the goalkeeper from Ipswich. Bruno's won it.
No.
Here's Isak, and he just strokes it into the bottom corner. Ipswich have had an absolute nightmare playing out from the back. They've taken risks all afternoon, and Bruno intercepted in the box, straight to Isak, right in front of the goalkeeper, waited for Muric to move and slid it into the bottom corner. They have got a third before half-time, and this really could be anything. It's Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 3. Isak's second of the day.
There's not a great deal you can say about that, is there? I mean, what's the goalkeeper doing? Dear oh dear. You know, we seen Foster the other night do it at Spurs, but he's giving it to a boy almost on the 6-yard box. It's almost on the 6-yard line. He's trying to play a ball to him. Unbelievable.
Isak, double figures now, 10 goals this season for Newcastle United's leading scorer, and that one's a gift, and he should have a hat-trick because he missed an easy one-on-one chance. He'll fancy it in the second half, and Newcastle will fancy winning big. I said to you at the start of the game, Ando, Stuart Atwell was referee for the 8-0 at Sheffield United. I'm not saying this will finish 8-0, but they were bad that day defensively, and Ipswich don't look
any better,
an awful lot better than Sheffield United did last September at Bramall Lane. And be ruthless, Newcastle. Win big. There's still a minute to play in the first half. Ipswich have kicked off. It's 3-0. Here's Hutchinson trying to get around Bruno, edge of the area. He's moved it well and wins a corner.
That's got the biggest cheer of the day.
Something for the Ipswich fans. Some cheers, a ripple of applause. But a party at Portman Road in the away section. Hello, if you're listening on DAB and Freeview channel 711. Newcastle 3-0 up at Ipswich in first half additional time. Corner for the home team round the back. O'Shea's header. Newcastle with a couple of headers clear. Tonali closing down Morsey, who has to go back to his own half to the goalkeeper. It's been a frustrating first half for Ipswich. It's been a terrible first half for Ipswich, really. Newcastle win it back from Murich's ball forwards, and then Dan Burn with a big clearance away, and Isak's after this. Davis trying to watch the bounce. Isak trying to get his hat-trick. Well, he won it on the corner of the area.
That is soft.
But the referee says he pushed Davis over, and it's a free kick to Ipswich.
That's soft. Really soft.
Leif Davis, the Geordie in the Ipswich team, is one very relieved man to get that decision. We'll have all the scores from Dom James in the studio during the half-time break. There was a 3-minute VAR check for Newcastle's first goal, scored by Isak. Murphy got the second, Isak with the third, after an Ipswich mistake at the back. Here's Tonali to Bruno. Can they get one more? Murphy's in behind from Bruno's ball up the right-hand side. Ipswich getting players back. Murphy with Davis trying to make the challenge. Murphy cuts inside, rolls it to Joe Willock. Willock in the area, pulls it back to Bruno. Didn't get that quite right, Newcastle, but they still have it. Isak with the cross. Gordon just wide at the near post. There was just a bit too much behind the ball from Isak, and Gordon at full stretch couldn't get it on target.
There's the half-time whistle, and they'll be so relieved, Ipswich, because they've been second best all over the pitch. It's been men against boys, to be quite honest. You know,
Newcastle should have more goals, Ando.
Yeah, should do. I mean, I mentioned earlier on that the two sides that have come up from the Championship, Leicester and Ipswich, we played in the last fortnight. Yeah. The gulf between Championship and Premier League, if that's what they are, is getting bigger and bigger game by game, season by season. If the second half is anything like the first, it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. It's been very, very comfortable. You know, I mean, Ipswich haven't helped themselves with the third goal. I mean, people have to watch that tonight. If you thought Foster was bad the other night, well, you see this one. But look, they're playing for a bit of pride now, Ipswich, because, as I say, 3-0 at half-time. By the time the full-time whistle goes, this could be absolutely anything. 2
goals for Isak, 1 for Jacob Murphy, and gulf in class between the two teams at Portman Road. Half-time on BBC Radio Newcastle. It's Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 3.
When your dream is to reach the Olympics or Paralympics,
the reality can be a long and tough journey.
This just feels like it's been ages working towards this.
I'm Rebecca Adlington.
And I'm Kristen Coombs. Join us on New Year's Eve for Paris Grassroots to Glory.
For me, it was just focused on crossing that line first.
We'll hear from members of Team GB and Paralympics GB who brought home medals from Paris.
I was told I was never going to be able to swim competitively again.
We'll also hear from their proud family, friends and teachers who have helped them achieve their dreams.
Couldn't ask for more than that, I don't think.
Paris Grassroots to Glory.
Tomorrow morning from 9. Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Dominic James back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio at half time. Then at Portman Road, Newcastle United lead 3-0 against Ipswich. Alexander Isak with a brace and Jacob Murphy also on the score sheet. Less good news for Sunderland, who are 1-0 down to Norwich at the Stadium of Light. Work to do again for Sunderland in the second half. Let's run you through some of the other scores from around the country. Today we'll begin in the Premier League in the early kickoff. Aston Villa, they beat Manchester City 2-1. And Rodgers with the goals for Aston Villa. Phil Foden with a consolation goal in the 93rd minute. Into the 3 o'clocks then, there's only a couple others. And Nottingham Forest are 1-0 up away to Brentford, and it's goalless between West Ham and Brighton. In the late kickoff today, Crystal Palace are against Arsenal at Selhurst Park.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into the Championship then, there was 3 early games, and Hull beat Swansea 2-1. Portsmouth were 4-1 winners over Frank Lampard's Coventry, and Sheffield Wednesday have beat Stoke 2-0. Sheffield Wednesday also had a man sent off too. Into the 3 o'clocks then, and Burnley lead Watford by 1-0. It's goalless between Cardiff and Sheffield United. Leeds are 1-0 up against Oxford. It's goalless between Millwall and Blackburn. Plymouth are 1-0 up over Middlesbrough, and the only other game in the Championship today is QPR and Preston lead by 1-0.
Total Sport North East.
The Newcastle and Sunderland AFC podcast
on BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into League One then, and there was 2 early games here. Bristol Rovers, they played out a 1-1 draw with Wrexham, and Lincoln, they beat Reading 2-0. Reading had a man sent off there as well. Into the 3 o'clocks then, Leyton Orient 2-0 up over Barnsley. Goalless between Blackpool and Stevenage. Burton Albion 1, Exeter 1 at the break. Mansfield Town lead Rotherham by 1-0. Charlton 3-0 up away to Northampton, and the only other game in League One is Wigan against Shrewsbury. Wigan leading 1-0.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into League Two then, 2 early games. Barrow beat Fleetwood 2-0. Doncaster ran out 3-1 winners over Tranmere. To the 3 o'clocks, and it's goalless between Accrington and Salford. Chesterfield 1-0 up to AFC Wimbledon. Walsall away to Harrogate, they lead by 1-0. Harrogate with a man sent off. Marsh, the man seeing red there after getting the second yellow card. Bromley 1-0 up away to Morecambe. Newport 4-1 up over MK Dons. Notts County 3-0 up over Bradford. Carlisle are away to Port Vale this afternoon. It's goalless there. The only other game in League 2 today is Swindon against Grimsby. Swindon though 2-0 up.
Total Sport North East.
Get the latest team news, score updates and post-match reaction on Twitter at BBC Newcastle.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Non-league wise today, and a few big games for us in the National League. Gateshead, they are away to bottom of the table Ebbsfleet. They lead by 2-0. Callum Whelan and Luke Hannand scoring for the Heed. Army this afternoon in National League North this afternoon. South Shields, they host Marine, are 2-0 up at the break, and yes, you probably guessed it, Paul Blackett with both of their goals. Their goal scoring machine he is this season. Our featured non-league game though comes in the NPL Premier. Heaven Town against Blythe Spartans, a local derby for us this afternoon, and our non-league reporter Paul Dixon is there and can tell us how it's gone.
Yes, Dom, at half-time is Heaven 2, Blythe Spartans 0, and Heaven have played absolutely superbly with the wind on their back in the first half. Controlled the game in lots of departments, very little seen from Blythe Spartans. And it was Heaven who went ahead on 7 minutes. Pedro Gomez finished superbly after Danny Savage had played him in. Gomez kept his head and just coolly slotted the ball into the corner. Excellent finish. 2 minutes later, Connor Panny on loan from Gateshead had a terrific effort, but Hunter in goal did well to save. 20 minutes in, Ollie Martin really should have made it 2. Cut in from the right, drilled his shot, and Adam Richardson on loan from Sunderland for Blythe, diving full length to push the ball round the post. Excellent effort and an excellent save. But then on 27 minutes, Heaven did go in front. The corner fell to Matty Elsden at the back post. He took a touch and then lashed a right foot shot into the far corner of the net. A really good goal. 2-0 at half time to Heaven. Needs to be some tough words in the Blythe dressing room, but they have got the wind on the back of the second half. Half time score, Dom. Heaven 2, Blythe Spartans 0.
Paul Dixon, thank you very much for them, and Paul will be back at full time to give us a full match report. Also in the NPL Premier today, Morpeth Town, they are 1-0 up against Gainsborough Trinity at Craig Park in the East Division this afternoon. Ashington are 2-0 up against Ossett United, a big relegation battle there. Heaton Stannington, they are away to Belper this afternoon. Tough task for them. Belper third in the table. Heaton Stannington also struggling down the bottom. They are 1-0 down. Heaton Stannington there. Concert, they are at home this afternoon to Sherwood Colliery and are 1-0 down at the break. Dunstan, they are fighting for the playoffs. They are currently sixth in the table, and they are beating Pontefract Collieries 2-1 this afternoon. We'll round up all of the non-league scores at full time.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Hi, it's Matt here, and I am done for the year. I'm off for Christmas. Thank you so much to every single one of you who has listened to The Breakfast Show and got in touch all through the year. We've had loads of great festive music from local artists on the show this week.
Won't you stay another day?
And you can hear all of those artists on a BBC Sounds special. Don't worry, the breakfast show continues. Kelly Scott will be back Monday, and I shall see you in the new year.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
Dominic James back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Right, on BBC Radio Newcastle, we're going to be splitting our frequencies now. We're going to be heading back to the Stadium of Light on DAB, digital radio and Freeview channel 711, where we will be going back for the second half. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett will be with you in just a moment. Sticking on our FM frequency, though, we, of course, have been focusing on Newcastle, who are 3-0 up away to Ipswich this afternoon. What could be the score by full time? It could be a cricket score, hopefully, for Newcastle. Alexander Isak with 2 and Jacob Murphy with 1. Just a few other things to bring you before heading back to Portman Road then. And in rugby union this afternoon, the Newcastle Falcons take on the league leaders Bath this afternoon. Our full match commentary with Dean Gray and John Pearson. The Falcons consultant director of rugby, Steve Diamond, says he's expecting a tough test this afternoon.
I think they are one of the Galacticos of the league. They have an endless budget by the looks of things. They handpick everybody else's squads, certainly with us. They're obviously well coached. They've got top class internationals all over the field. They've got a fantastic set of halfbacks, so it could be a hard day at the office for us. It's about us doing our own things and sticking to it. And when we do that, we're highly competitive. Everybody's disappointed about the last 2 results, but they've gone. We need Bath to have an off day, and we need to play out of our skins. That's what it's got to be about. And the belief in the team is in the squad is good. The knowledge is good, and we've just got to make sure the skill set is there. And if we turn up with the right attitude, which I know we will do, because that's never been a question, then we've got a good game in our hands, and you never know.
That is Steve Diamond, the Newcastle Falcons consultant director at rugby. They're talking ahead of their game with Bath this afternoon. Just a reminder then, full match commentary with Dean Gray and John Pearson on the BBC website and app. Kickoff is at 5:30. Basketball, and last night in the Men's Super League Cup, the Newcastle Eagles lost by 90 points to 87 at home to the Caledonia Gladiators. They're back in action tomorrow. In the Men's Super League Trophy, they're away to the Leicester Riders in the playoffs there. In the Women's Super League this afternoon, earlier on, a heavy defeat for the Durham Palatinates, losing 106 points to 50. The Newcastle Eagles are currently in action away to the Cardiff Met Archers this afternoon. They are into the second period there, and they lead 38 points to 28 there. In darts then, and in the PDC World Championship, we have 3 players in action this weekend. Chris Dobey is currently in action against second round. He has taken the first 2 sets there at the Alexandra Palace. We also have Callum Ridds, also from Bedlington, like Chris Dobey. He's in action tomorrow. He takes on Martin Schindler. But later tonight, Ryan Joyce from Newcastle, he takes on Danny Noppert. The evening session gets underway from 7 o'clock. And even if you're not really a boxing fan, it's a big night of boxing. Tyson Fury takes on Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia. They fought 6 months ago in Riyadh, and Usyk narrowly beating Fury with a split decision. This weekend, they fight for the WBA, WO and WC World Heavyweight titles. To help us preview it, earlier this week on Total Sport, we had Newcastle heavyweight Stephen Robinson, who was part of Usyk's fight camp for the first fight, and he's given us a fantastic insight on what we can expect tonight.
I've done over 100 rounds with the man, and I've been part of 3 camps. His training methods are insane. He's just an elite level. He's an inspiration to anybody who's involved in the sport of boxing, both physically and mentally. To listen to the man, he's a role model for anyone.
What does Fury have to do to beat him?
I think Fury beats him. I think Fury's took it a lot more serious. I don't like the demeanour of Fury into the camp, but when you've been away from family and you get angry, and you can see that in the build-up. I think it's disrespectful to Usyk, but listen, that's the way he approaches fights. He gets into your mind, but I do think Fury Fury beats him this time. I think Fury's took it a lot more serious. I think it's going to be very Deontay Wilder-esque. He's coming in heavier. I think he's taken training very serious, which he didn't in his last fight. He's taken sparring very serious, and I think he can stop him. He hurt him in the last fight. He was just too unfit to finish him off.
Yeah, it should make for an intriguing fight. Of course, there's commentary this evening on 5 Live. Their coverage starts from 9 o'clock tonight. But it's time for us to head back to Portman Road then for second half commentary of Newcastle United against Ipswich in the company of Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Back to the goalkeeper from Ipswich. Bruno's won it. No. Here's Isak, and he just strokes it into the bottom corner. Ipswich have had an absolute nightmare playing out from the back. They've taken risks all afternoon, and Bruno intercepted in the box, straight to Isak, right in front of the goalkeeper, waited for Muric to move and slid it into the bottom corner. They have got a third before half-time, and this really could be anything. It's Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 3, Isak second of the day.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
3-0, Isak with 2, Murphy with the other one, and the second half about to begin at Portman Road against Ipswich, who haven't won here all season, and it looks like that is
going to continue.
Yeah, it will be a big shock. You get a good price.
I'll give you a good price.
Yeah.
If you want to have a little dabble.
Yeah, you don't see it after the way the first half went. Now Newcastle with no changes for the second half. Ipswich are making a change. They have brought on striker Ali Al-Hamadi, and he has replaced Amari Hutchinson. Al-Hamadi is the first Iraqi to play in the Premier League. He grew up in Liverpool after being born in Iraq, and they signed him from Wimbledon in League 2 in the middle of last season. So he's a striker on for Ipswich, quite raw by all accounts. Still only 22. Newcastle, Dubravka, Livramento, Cher, Byrne, Hall, Bruno, Tonali, Willock, Murphy, Gordon, Isak. Newcastle kick off for the second half. White and green, third kit against the blue and white of Ipswich, and shooting to the right-hand side in the first half, in the second half rather. Murphy to Livramento, now Tonali, and Byrne in possession, centre of the Newcastle half of the pitch. Ipswich, Muric in goal, Harry Clark, O'Shea, Burgess, Davis, Morsey and Cayusta in the middle, Burns, Chaplin, Schmodix and Al-Hamadi in attack. Jacob Murphy beats Schmodix to the ball on the near side, and Bruno, the only player who's started all 17 of Newcastle's Premier League matches this season, Bruno. Joe Linton wasn't ever present but suspended today. Here's the skipper on the ball again next to the centre circle. Livramento to Murphy. Isak goes up the line. The ball's played back to Livramento. Jason Tyndall with the instructions from the touchline. Eddie Howe watching on alongside him. That rule that Newcastle often break
doesn't apply to us.
It's not applying here. They're not allowed to stand next to each other in the technical area. Here's Gordon to Isak, sidesteps his man, looks for Murphy. It's cut out by Leif Davis. Isak wins it back and starts to go up the line, but overruns the ball. And throw for the home team. Possession in play with Ipswich. Davis into Cayusta, central midfield. Bruno goes to close down. They play it to the far side towards Harry Clark. Willock adjudged to have fouled Morsey. He put a boot in to win the ball, and free kick given to Ipswich. Out well, and Newcastle have it back. Fabian Cher. Isak makes the run. Oh, he's hit his pass straight against Murphy, and then Cher's been, well, he was fouled, but the referees let play go on. Fortunately, it came straight back to Fabian Cher. Newcastle have gone back to halfway, so the momentum from that move and the advantage that they had with numbers and positionally has gone, but they still have the ball. Alexander Isak with 2 goals, hoping to be the first Newcastle player to score a hat-trick since Jose Perez in April 2019 against Southampton. 5.5 years ago, more than 5.5 years ago. He's never done it, neither has Callum Wilson. That's in competitive fixtures, obviously. And that's something that Newcastle could change today. Isak chests it down towards Murphy on the halfway line. Ipswich have it back. Sunderland have an equaliser against Norwich, scored by defender Dan Ballard. Bruno and Tonali. And Cayusta was the meat in the sandwich there, and it's a free kick for Ipswich, left side of central midfield. Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Anthony Elanga. Forest second. As darkness descends on Portman Road, the rain is still holding off. Breeze is picked up. It's 3-0 to Newcastle. Davis. And Ipswich looking to get Al-Hamidi in behind. He takes a touch at the edge of the area. Horn makes a block challenge. Still Ali Al-Hamidi and Dan Burn with a block.
Ooh.
He got away from him in behind initially, but then Newcastle did enough to deal with the situation. That's his first involvement since coming on at half-time. Morsey to Clark, the fullback, and it goes wide on that right-hand side to Burns. Left-footed curling cross straight onto the head of Livramento. Burgess has it. And Davis. Midfielder Cayusta back to centre-half Burgess in Newcastle's half. Tries to pick out a pass and he's given it game possession. They don't want to give them any encouragement. Even if Newcastle in total control at 3-0. Ball into the box from Davis. Asked too much of Cayusta. And it's gone behind.
Yeah, just got too much on it, didn't he? Just trying to play a little one round the corner. Dubravka just shepherds it out of play. Goal kick.
Lewis Hall to Tonali and back again, but intercepted by Ipswich, and they've given it straight back to Tonali. Here's Willock. Newcastle looking to move up the pitch. Willock dispossessed. Al-Hamidi just outside the area, and now Chaplin trying to barge his way through.
He's just so weak. He's so lightweight.
Hall to Gordon through the legs of his man into Isak. It's quick play from Newcastle. Slick football and across towards Bruno. He's hit the post. Bruno with a header off the base of the post. It was almost 4.
Just so easy, wasn't it? Chaplin just so weak in the middle of the park. Loses it yet again. Break down that left side, ball played in. Arriving late. He's unlucky.
No, that was a really good move up the left hand side. Lewis Hall's cross, Bruno almost had a second header in 2 Premier League matches. Clark tackled by Gordon, out for an Ipswich throw. Newcastle bench is Odysseus, Trippier, Barnes, Target, Asula, Almiron, Kelly, Longstaff, Miley. Ipswich bench, Christian Walton, the goalkeeper. Calvin Phillips on loan from Manchester City. Jack Taylor scored their injury time winner at Wolves last weekend. Newcastle close to winning it back. Ipswich go back to the keeper. Ben Johnson, Connor Townsend, both fullbacks. Jacob Greaves, the centre half. Nathan Broadhead and Jack Clark. Brighton 1-0 up at West Ham. Matt Biffa has scored for Brighton. Cayusta and Chaplin. about 20 yards out, left of centre, back to Burgess. Well, Ipswich have had more possession with the ball on the floor in the final third in 7 minutes of the second half than they did in the entire first half, but Newcastle showed on the break the threat they carry, and that's risky back pass, and Burgess has now given the ball away to Livramento. Gordon wants it. Tonali looks for the quick pass out to the left wing, brought under control by Gordon, who has to go back to Hall and inside to Byrne, and now Newcastle with it and a bit of time and space at the back. 3-0 up here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Livramento to Murphy, back again, inside to Bruno.
Well played.
They've got a man free on the left side, it's Willock. Gordon in the centre, plays it through for Isak in the area, tries to go beyond his man, it's blocked, and it comes to Murphy. Still Jacob Murphy, he's kept hold of it and found Isak. Isak stabs it into the net! Alexander Isak's first Newcastle United hat-trick, and the first Newcastle player to score 3 times in a game since Jose Perez more than 5 years ago. He had the initial chance and was tackled, and then Jacob Murphy kept it alive, found him with a back heel, and Isak celebrates a hat-trick, and Newcastle celebrate a 4th goal. 54 minutes at Portman Road. They have increased their lead. It's Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 4.
Just so easy, wasn't it? Good little back heel by Murphy, and he's just toe poked it, isn't it? It's an Art Areoli. Just a little toe poke. I mean, when you think how many goals he could have had in the last 3 games.
And the chance, the one-on-one he missed in the first half.
Frightening.
There's quite a few Ipswich fans heading towards the exits. I don't know if they're going to get some refreshments or they're just going Christmas shopping, but we may not see some of them again. This game is over.
Oh, this game was over at half time, Razor. This game was over after 25 seconds.
Al-Hamadi with a foul aerial challenge with Fabian Scher. Free kick awarded by Stuart Atwell. Referee for the 8-0 last season. Referee 4-0 here. What was it at half-time at Bramall Lane? It was 3-0 like it was today. There are parallels. But look, it may finish 4-0, there may be more goals, but you would certainly back Newcastle to get a few more the way this has gone. Out on the far side, close to halfway, a United throw. Who they could still bring on. Harvey Barnes, sure, he'll be licking his lips seeing the positions Newcastle are getting into. All the goals he's scored, particularly as a substitute. Gordon onto Bruno and played through now, and Joe Willock the chance to go one-on-one. Here's Joe Willock. Oh, he's got to score. Over.
He's got to score.
Joe Willock with a bad miss, and he knows. He's lying flat on his back in the box, hands across his face. He might have been hurt, but Bruno slipped it in for him. He got the other side of the defender, couple of touches, penalty spot sort of position, but he put it high and wide. It should have been 5-0.
Should have been. Big chance, wasn't it? Yet again, defensively, Ipswich all over the shop.
Eddie Howe has got Lewis Miley, Sean Longstaff and Harvey Barnes warming up. Joe Willock.
I think it's one of those injuries, you know, that he thinks he should have scored, and I'll just give it.
Well, the physio is on. Yeah, it looks like a neck or shoulder. It might have been the way he landed. Calvin Phillips is coming on for Ipswich, and so is Jack Taylor. He's played for Ireland, Jack Taylor. He's played once. You can see Ando's face. So Blaydon races from the away fans. As Joe Willock continues to receive treatment. Gateshead 3-0 up, now trying to keep up with Newcastle away from home. Their top scorer, striker Owen Oseni, with the third goal. Looking at either Barnes or Longstaff maybe to come on. Although Joe Willock seems as though he's going to come back on at least for a bit. Eddie Howe saying 2 minutes to one of his subs and telling them to warm up properly.
It's becoming comical, isn't it?
Ipswich made a mess of the restart. Ball is in play and they have it in midfield with Morsey, Harry Clark. Joe Willock still off the pitch, got to go off for 30 seconds after receiving treatment on the field. It's 4-0. And a bouncing ball that Ipswich haven't really dealt with. Gordon trying to get their edge of the area. Burgess comes across in the nick of time and clears. Livramento watching this one. Schmodix with the header, but it's come straight to Willock. First touch is coming back on. Gets it back from Livramento. And now with Cher. And Al-Hamadi closes down, but the ball reaches Dubravka. Equaliser for West Ham. 1-1 with Brighton. The West Ham goal scorer Mohamed Kudus. 5:30 is Palace against Arsenal. And then there are 5 Premier League matches tomorrow, 4 of them at 2 o'clock, and Spurs-Liverpool at 4:30. Newcastle giving the ball away, but the Ipswich forward passes straight to Dubravka.
They just haven't got the quality to hurt you. You know, you present them with chances and they just keep giving it back to you.
Murphy inside to Bruno. Leif Davis has won it back and they give it straight to Tonali. Gordon wants it. Tonali takes his time, passes it to Hall. Every time they get it back, they've got runners, they've got movement, they've got the opportunity to get away from Ipswich. And we've reached the hour mark at 4-0. How many more goals will Newcastle score this afternoon? Tonali back to Byrne. Bruno 5 yards from halfway to Tonali on the left, inside to Cher, closed down by Schmodix, straight to Byrne and inside to Cher again. Livramento free on the near touchline. Cher gives it to Tonali, takes it forwards and across a couple of blue shirts to Livramento, and he starts to make a forward run. Livramento, Schmodix slides in. Livramento still has it. Support from Murphy. 20 yards out. Still Tino Livramento. Newcastle going to make 3 changes at least. Trippier, Barnes and Longstaff. They've crossed it into the box towards the 18-yard line. Ipswich regain possession. Willock then blocks a clearance but did so with his hand. Substitution time. First, it's Ipswich. Jens Kayusta off and Calvin Phillips on. Jack Taylor replaces your man Connor Chaplin. Jack Taylor. Won the game for them at Wolves with the header from the corner last week.
Not going to win it today.
Newcastle preparing to make a triple substitution. Lewis Miley has gone to sit down. Miguel Almiron sent out to warm up. Burgess receives a back pass in the box, didn't really want it. Phillips to the goalkeeper. Muric swings it away. It beats Al-Hamadi. Newcastle. 3 substitutions. Substitutes ready to come on, but the numbers board isn't ready. 4-0 up. 3 at half-time, and then Isak got his hat-trick early in the second, with Bruno's already hit the post, and what a ball! Bruno outside of the right boot for Anthony Gordon, taking on his man. Gordon with the shot straight at the keeper, low down.
Oh, what a great ball. Outside of his right boot, straight into the pad. Should do better as well, shouldn't he?
Gordon should have scored, just as Willock should have scored in the second half. Lewis Hall wins it back from Burns on the far side. Gordon to Bruno, and back again. Isak, with a flick, but it didn't reach a teammate. And Ipswich with a quick ball to the right wing. Burns running at Tanali, and a dangerous cross to the far post, but Al-Hamidi couldn't get there.
Was that a shot or a cross?
Here are the Newcastle changes. Trippier on for Livramento. He came on for Hall the other night. It's Livramento who gets a breather this time. Murphy with a goal, an assist and a hand in the first is replaced by Harvey Barnes, and Longstaff comes on for Willock. Maybe no surprise given his the knock that he had, Joe Willock, and also brought in to start today. After not being involved at Brentford away and then coming on in midweek. 4-0 to Newcastle, 64 minutes, goal kick about to be taken by Dubravka, and Gateshead have caught up with Newcastle. 4-0, they lead away from home at Ebbsfleet. Owen Oseni with his second. The Gateshead who are fourth in the National League. Sunderland still 1-1 with Norwich. Commentary on DAB and Freeview Channel 711 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Bruno caught late. Yellow card for Sam Morsey. First booking.
Yeah, he's got to get the bookings up. Didn't book anybody in the first half, did he?
No. It's the first one.
So he's got to get his quota up.
Bruno just tying his bootlace. As we have already said, John Anderson, it's been game over for a long time. Newcastle way out in front, but the game is starting to drift a bit. The only, I think, question is, Eddie Howe, I'm sure, will make 2 more changes. The 2 that he's able to. How many more goals can Newcastle add? And they've scored once in the second half. They could have had more. Here's Al-Hamidi, challenged by Cher. It's a great challenge. Longstaff in midfield to Bruno, whipped over towards Trippier, but Schmodix gets there first. Barnes chases Schmodix, who goes back to the keeper. Harvey Barnes playing on the right wing, Morton State on the left, by the way. Al-Hamidi rises to win a header. Longstaff then caught by Al-Hamidi from the second ball. 66 minutes played on BBC Radio Newcastle. If you fancy a chat after the match with Ando, call us now on 0800 234 6565. A ball up the right wing to Barnes, who controls with his head and then takes another touch. That's good. Longstaff sweeping crossfield ball, a good one as well to Gordon. Now for Bruno in the area, and it's a corner for Newcastle. Their first of the second half, out on that far side next to the away fans.
Yeah, just tried to play it in with the outside of his right boot, didn't he? Defender got a touch on it.
A corner kick to be taken, to be delivered by Anthony Gordon. Byrne round the back, Cher in the middle being held by a defender. They play it to Hall, then back to Gordon. Now it comes in. Byrne on the stretch with a header. Tonali rises. Harvey Barnes hits it and hits it over the bar on the volley as it was dropping. And
he's capable, isn't he?
He could have made more of that.
Yeah, he's capable. Just didn't sit down for him, though, to be fair. That defender's getting to him as well, just snatched at it a little bit. Got balls on the pitch all over the place again.
Yeah, 2 balls again. Ipswich defender plays it to the goalkeeper. He plays a long pass. Tonali there before Al-Hamadi, stabbed back to Pope. And the goalkeeper, Dubravka rather. I knew I was going to do that. Taken so long.
Well, he hasn't had a lot to do, has he?
I know.
In fact, he hasn't made a save, has he?
The shots they've had have been off target, haven't they? It's caught across, didn't it, in the first half? Gordon comes across midfield and then passes it straight to Schmodix, who now gets away. Gordon trying to win it back. Trippier helps him out. Newcastle have it in the penalty box. And here is Sean Longstaff as Newcastle in midfield try to go forwards. Inside to Barnes. And now to Tonali, centre of midfield. 4-0 here. Sunderland have turned it around against Norwich and lead 2-1. Joe Bellingham scored. And Norwich now have 10 men, so it's looking good for Sunderland. Jack Taylor, the Ipswich sub, wide right to Wes Burns. And the cross is blocked by Hall. It hits Burns. And Newcastle let it run out for a goal kick. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall continue their conversation. Folded arms in the technical area. Almiron jogging up and down the touchline. And they've also got Osula, Miley, Kelly, Target on the bench as outfield players. Hall and Bruno linking up well, a 1-2 on the far side up the line to Gordon. Ipswich have tackled Anthony Gordon and have it back now. Al-Hamadi helps it out wide towards Taylor. Taylor's turn, put the ball over the line. We enter the final 20 minutes. Isak hat-trick this season, who's unavailable as well, along with Liam Delap. But they've had no focal point in the first half.
No, they've had absolutely nothing.
And Al-Hamadi, has a bit more size than the front four that were playing before the break. Almiron comes back to the bench, takes his orange bib off. Looks like he's going to come on as Newcastle defend the corner at the Sir Bobby Robson stand of Portman Road. Dan Burn throws himself at it, and then Lewis Hall next to the post smashes it out of play. Calvin Phillips with the throw. Bruno closes down. Clark to Schmodix. Back to Phillips. A driven ball across the edge of the penalty area. It's not a bad one. It's found Burns straight against Gordon, and Hall there with a quick pass up the left wing. It's gone out of play. Isak unable to reach it in time. But you could see very much the vision. Al-Hamadi here, and holds up a couple of white and green shirts. This is not bad from Al-Hamadi. Blocked shot. Dan Burn puts it out for the throw.
Yeah, you can see he's raw, but as I say, at least he's had a little bit of a goal, a little bit of intent about him.
Hasn't started in the Premier League yet, and wasn't one of their main players after joining last season from League Two, but for Newcastle, something to think about. Calvin Phillips, crossfield ball, and Wes Burns with a touch that takes it out of play. Miguel Almiron coming on, and it's for Alexander Isak. Anthony Gordon goes to centre forward. Isak has today delivered his first Newcastle United hat-trick, and he turns to applaud the away fans on his way over to the near touchline.
Yes, well played. Hopefully the first of many for for him. Could have had more as well, couldn't he?
Yeah. The one-on-one he put straight into the goalkeeper's hands. But a special day for him. William Osula warming up now as Almiron takes his place on the right side and Harvey Barnes goes to the left wing. This is Almiron. His last Newcastle goal, Almiron, was more than a year ago. A year and a week since he scored against Fulham. This is his 30th appearance since then. 4-0 the score, 74th minute. Dubravka for Hall. Looked for Longstaff in the middle. It's intercepted by Clark.
Oh dear, oh dear.
And his forward pass goes behind. Kieran Trippier for Anthony Gordon with the last defender. Gordon can't bring it down. O'Shea back to Muric. Bruno right on top of him. Oh, and Clark plays it against Barnes at the edge of the area. And it falls for a blue shirt. Morsey in midfield. Al-Hamadi now to Davis, inside straight to Tonali. Just mopping up and giving Newcastle that extra layer of protection. Trippier forward pass, Almiron. Oh, he's helped it on nicely to Cher, but it hit an Ipswich player. Just as Cher was about to bring it down, Almiron did well. It was a difficult ball, and Newcastle tried to win it back here through Gordon from Morsey. Back to O'Shea and Phillips, dropping in next to his two centre-backs. Matt Targett warming up for Newcastle to make one more change in the final 15 minutes here on BBC Radio Newcastle, and they have a throw on the far side of the pitch next to halfway. Send us a WhatsApp message, put BBC at the start, and the number is 08000 321 333. 08000 321 333 for a WhatsApp message about the game. Put BBC at the start. Bruno deep in the United half, finds Almiron. First touch takes him backwards, stabs it to Trippier, onto Almiron again, inside to Bruno. Cher receives it. Bruno caught by Al-Hamadi, and he could be in trouble here. There's a card for the Iraqi international, and it's yellow for catching Bruno as he played the ball away. Stuart Atwell saw that and dealt with it quickly, and it's a yellow card for Ali Al-Hamadi.
Yeah, it was never any more than yellow. As I say, he's got to get his quota up.
Dan Burn having words with Al-Hamadi, and now keeping Bruno away from him, acting as the peacemaker. Any further thoughts, observations, John Anderson, on the way the game has
it's just petered out
since Newcastle made it 4?
It's just petered out, hasn't it? It's just controlling it, just seeing it out. He's made the substitutions. It's all been very, very comfortable.
Ipswich are going to make further changes shortly. Longstaff to Bruno, on now for Lewis Hall. Newcastle have got runners. Hall with a really good ball to find Harvey Barnes on. Teasers across to the back post. It's too high for Almiron. Goal kick for Ipswich. Nathan Broadhead, who was on loan to Sunderland when they came up from League One after 4 seasons, moved to Ipswich, coming on for his 3rd Premier League appearance from the bench this season. Sam Schmolitz goes off, and Ben Johnson, the fullback, great transfer signing in the summer from West Ham, is coming on for Wes Burns. He's been playing on the right wing. see if that changes Ipswich's system formation. 78 minutes played. Newcastle. Oh, I think we're going to see Lewis Miley rather than William Osula. Miley is ready indeed to come on. Broadhead to Al-Hamadi, left side of the penalty area. Back to Broadhead. Tries the shot. Dubravka pushes it away and Hall clears. He has finally made.
They've had a shot.
With 12 minutes to play and Newcastle 4-0 up. Johnson trying to get the better of Hall. It's a foul by Johnson. Ipswich don't like it. Newcastle free kick close to the goal line, out on the left. Listening to BBC Radio Newcastle. We bring you every Newcastle United match exclusively live and every Sunderland game. And if you're looking for the red and white coverage today, Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett are on DAB or BBC Radio Newcastle's Freeview channel, which is 711. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4. Dubravka goes long. Gordon now at centre forward, being held by O'Shea. The defender wins the header. Trippier now into space on the left. Gordon getting after it. O'Shea comes across, and that's into the away section. And Newcastle. Gordon with a throw, but they're going to make the change first. Lewis Miley coming on for Bruno Guimaraes. Gives the captain's armband to Kieran Trippier, and Bruno jogs over to the near touchline. Could have scored himself with the diving header that hit the base of the post at the start of the second half. And how good to see Lewis Miley back.
Filled out, doesn't he?
The Newcastle United matchday squad. He's been fit for a couple of months, but Eddie Howe hasn't really used him yet, despite seeing him as having a big future. It's only his second appearance after a late introduction against Chelsea in the Cup. He's on for the final 10 minutes. Played 45 minutes for the under-21s on Monday. Anthony Gordon looked like he hurt himself. Newcastle have the ball at the other end of the pitch, defensive end, and Gordon's got back up. Miley's gone to the left of the midfield three, Tonali in the middle. So after all the changes, it's Trippier, Dubravka in goal, Trippier, Schär, Byrne, Hall, Longstaff, Tonali, Miley, Almiron, Barnes and Gordon. Schär in behind, but it just didn't reach Lewis Hall. A stretching Harry Clark managed to head it infield towards a colleague, and Ipswich clear it up the right-hand side. Taylor into midfield. Almiron makes a block challenge. And Ipswich through Johnson near to the halfway line go back to central defence. And then there's room for Nathan Broadhead on his way to the penalty area. Gives it to Al-Hamadi, trying to get a shot off. Ali Al-Hamadi, he's well wide of Dubravka's left-hand post.
He's got to learn to pass it though.
He's picked up some good positions.
Yeah.
To receive the ball.
He's picked up good positions, but his decision making.
Before today, Newcastle had won only 3 of their last 12 Premier League matches, having won 3 of the first 4. It's going to be a very good week for them in terms of the table as it stands, up to 7th from 12th. A boost for the goal difference, a point from Manchester City in 6th and 2 off Villa, their opponents at St James's on Boxing Day, who occupy 5th. Ipswich have given it away. Trippier now towards Miley, but he can't hold it. And Leif Davis for Ipswich, who win it back, and Broadhead challenged by Scher. Trippier out of Davis, Newcastle through. Other scores in the Premier League: Forest 2 up at Brentford, West Ham 1-1 with Brighton. Gateshead 4-0 up at Ipswich in the National League. And Sunderland on DAB and Freeview Channel 7-1-1 on BBC Radio Newcastle. 2-1 up against 10-man Norwich. Trippier looking for the ball for the run of Almiron. Chested away by O'Shea into the corner on the near side. And Burgess up the line, gets it back from Phillips. And goalkeeper Muric here across the 6-yard box. It's 4-0, which is how it's been for almost 30 minutes of match play. Isak scored at 54, and we're now in the 84th minute.
You were expecting 8, weren't you?
I was expecting at least 5. There's still time for that. I think that would better reflect how the game has gone, even if Ipswich have had a bit more of the ball since it went 4-0. I'm not saying Newcastle have declared at 4, but they've missed some big chances, haven't they? Willock, Gordon and Barnes. Scher with a header down. Lewis Miley gets it at the edge of the box and strides forward with it. Long legs, moves such grace, doesn't he? Miley through midfield. Gordon, Almiron can get there one-on-one, but the keeper comes to the edge of the box. Just had the positional advantage, the goalkeeper, as Tonali wins it back from Broadhead in the centre circle. And now Fabian Scher in possession. The ball looking for Almiron, but intercepted by Muric. Gordon seems to have been caught in the face. He's down on his haunches. The referee is telling the medical staff to wait. He's okay. He's caught by Broadhead, but seemed accidental. Those two were at Everton together. They actually made their debuts for Everton in the same match in the Europa League 7 years ago as teenagers. Gordon is now receiving treatment on the pitch, and they're saying he has to get off. There may be some blood. The doctor and the physio are with Anthony Gordon. Newcastle temporarily with 10 players. Give us a ring now, 0800 234 6565, and you can be on BBC Radio Newcastle to discuss the match with Ando. Scher, good ball. Trippier's made a really good run and a through ball for Almiron to try and get on the end of battle for the second time in the space of a couple of minutes. Scher has caught Al-Hamidi on halfway. Ipswich free kick. They want a card for Fabian Scher.
But to be fair, that's no different to the other two.
Fabian Scher, fortunately, has avoided a yellow card, because if he gets booked, he'll miss the next match. Ipswich offside from the free kick. Scher and Tonali, 4 yellow cards. They've got to get through this one, Aston Villa and Manchester United a week on Monday, and then they will be clear of the threat of a looming threat of a one-match ban. Back to Dubravka. 4-0 up. Miley controls with his thigh. Ipswich hammer it away. Ball back to the keeper. Alexander Isak has scored a hat-trick. Jacob Murphy got the other. And they've had a number of other big chances. Newcastle 4-0 up. Here's Tonali. Has shaken off the attentions of Phillips on the far side. Gordon to Miley. Back it goes to Scher. Longstaff, centre of the park, foot on the ball. He's got Taylor at his back, he plays it to Cher, into the box to Dubravka. Longstaff comes to get it, Newcastle moving it around, Gordon on the move through the middle, wants it over the top. They go up to Miley on halfway, left hand side, and now the pass is played to Hall, slows it down, comes inside to Miley, might hit this, floats it instead across to Almiron on the near side of the pitch. Almiron to Longstaff, edge of the area, try to thread it through for Gordon, it's blocked by Broadhead. Trippier out off Davis, throw 15 yards out for Newcastle, taken quickly to Almiron. 89 minutes on the clock at Portman Road. Newcastle on the attack with Kieran Trippier. Now they go back to Fabian Cher, every Ipswich player behind the ball. Dan Burn to Lewis Hall, up the left wing to Harvey Barnes, back to Hall again, and wide for Barnes once more. Hall makes a run into the middle, gets it from Barnes, goes on the outside of his man. Lewis Hall's cross,
what a goal!
The hands of
Great move. Unlucky.
Almiron was coming in at the back post, but the goalkeeper reached out his arms and claimed the cross. But what a move!
Good build up again, wasn't it? It's like a knife through cake, isn't it?
It'd have to be a soft and spongy cake, wouldn't it? Moist.
Well, they have been.
Yeah,
they've been very soft.
Morsey in the middle, 4-0 to Newcastle. Between the lines though is Broadhead, goes on the outside of Byrne, fancies it here, Nathan Broadhead, and then decides not to shoot when he had the angle, went to roll in Johnson and passed it straight out of play. Dan Byrne, ball on the floor, walking out of the Newcastle penalty area. Fabian Cher receives it. 20 seconds left. Fourth official picks up the numbers board. Whatever he puts on it, Ipswich will not thank him for that. There probably won't be much. Trippier to Almiron. One last attack maybe for United. Almiron carries it. Gordon has run offside. It's 4 minutes. They've found 4 minutes from somewhere. Al-Hamadi has lost it to Gordon, who then nutmegs him, passes it to Tonali. Eddie Howe's Black and White Army sing the away supporters. Trippier and Tonali exchanging short passes on the near side, and then the Italians' ball across to Dan Byrne. Trippier wanted to play it up the line, back it goes to Cher. Now Byrne, Gordon still a long way offside. Lewis Hall receives it, brings it infield, then goes back to the goalkeeper. We've played the first minute of the additional period now. BBC Radio Newcastle, phone in to follow 0800 234 6565. Give Ando a ring. If you've never called us before, today could be the day to have a chat about Newcastle United. 0800 234 6565. Ring us now. Dubravka to Hall, inside to Miley, who's got loads of room.
Acres of space.
Ipswich had stepped off him. Barnes back inside to Miley, and Barnes again. Miley once more, moving it nicely across midfield. Trippier's come into the centre to pick it up, and now Cher to Longstaff. Back to Cher. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4. Alexander Isak emulating Kevin Nolan, who got 3 here in the 2009-10 championship in a 4-0 win. Byrne with the ball close to the edge of the penalty area, and Dubravka now to Cher. Goalkeeper gets it again. Ipswich have pushed up. It means there's big gaps at the back. Sean Longstaff is currently at centre forward. Dan Byrne now gets away from Al-Hamadi. and makes his way into the middle of midfield, and Newcastle have got a runner. Barnes wants it through the middle. He had loads of room, but so has Gordon. Now in the Ipswich half, Barnes wanting it, getting it from Gordon. Harvey Barnes one-on-one with Muric, squares it, it's blocked. Barnes plays it back, Longstaff, and then turned in. Turned in by Dan Burn.
Offside.
Well, the flag's gone up as big Dan Burn celebrates a goal in front of the away supporters, turning it in from close to the goal line. Newcastle thought they had 5. The assistant referee says not. VAR, like VAR did in the opening minute, will check to see if there's an offside here. Barnes should have scored, Burn did, but it might be ruled offside.
It was just so easy, wasn't it? Really what? And he started it, to be fair, because they just gave him so much room. He carried it forward, played it, and just kept going. Got himself into that advanced position. Be cruel if it's...
I think they're looking at whether the touch was from the Newcastle player or the Ipswich player.
It'd be cruel if it's cancelled on him.
VAR still looking. We await the decision. I think this might get disallowed. Well, now they're looking at whether he is actually offside. There is an Ipswich player on the line as the ball goes forward.
There's got to be 2 players, and
still the goalkeeper just trying to see it again. VAR check continues. If it stands, it's 5-0, and Dan Burn gets himself a goal. Stuart Atwell, the referee, says offside.
Oh, unlucky. Well, took an eternity again, didn't it?
That's the biggest cheer from Ipswich's home supporters. Dan Burn is able to smile about it, but...
Well, you can when you're 4-0 up.
It's a shame. Well, they should have had a 5th long before then, but 4-0 is still a great scoreline away from home. They've been dominant. Ipswich have really struggled. Here's Tonali. Can they go and get one more? There's 30 seconds plus anything more following that VAR check that Stuart Atwell wants to add on. Trippier's forward route, right hand side, is blocked off. They go back to Cher. And Burn has the ball at his feet. Across it comes to Fabian Cher. There's the final whistle. That's enough for Ipswich, who endured a really tough day at home as Newcastle United win by 4-0 at Portman Road. Alexander Isak with a hat-trick and Jacob Murphy with the other, as Newcastle move up to 7th in the table. 2nd Premier League win in succession, 3 in a row in all competitions across a very good week for Eddie Howe and his players, and a wonderful away day for the thousands of travelling fans on the far side. Ipswich's wait for a first home win in the Premier League goes on, but John Anderson, it was just so easy.
It was very easy, it was very comfortable. I mean, from 25 seconds, and it was just so comfortable. It reminded me of the cup tie, the FA Cup tie last season, where it was just men against boys. You know, Ipswich had no physical presence in there at all. They were getting pushed and shoved. They were getting moved all over the place. 4-0 flatters them a little bit, to be fair. You know, they could have and probably should have won it by more. But it was... You're not going to get many away days that are as comfortable as this, but it was very comfortable. Really comfortable.
Hat-trick for Isak, who missed a big chance as well.
Yeah, look, we've said this before. You know, he's had opportunities to get more goals. I mean, he had another one today where he's clean through one-on-one, and yet again he hits it straight at a goalkeeper. You know, just puts it right in his chest. We've seen him do that a few times this season. But look, the boy still knows how to score goals, and he still gets goals. He's delighted for him that he's got a hat-trick. You know, he deserves it. But he was, they were great today. You know, they did exactly what they had to do, and it was very comfortable indeed.
The players go to the away fans, who've all stayed. They're on their feet, some of the tops are off, but big celebrations. This is what it's all about for an away day, a long trip when Newcastle United win big, as they have done today. Ando back with us shortly for the phone in on BBC Radio Newcastle. Hat-trick for Alexander Isak, his first for the club. Jacob Murphy with the other. A big win at Portman Road. Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 4.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Dominic James back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Newcastle with an emphatic victory at Portman Road. Is this the turning point for Newcastle United's season? Alexander Isak cashed in today with a hat-trick. How good was he? Jacob Murphy also impressing with a goal and an outrageous assist today. What a back heel. That was Sunderland once again coming from behind to get all 3 points. This young side just doesn't know when it's beat, does it? Showing all the traits of a potential promotion side. Joe Bellingham and Dan Ballard, like last week, scoring the goals for the Black Cats today. Luke O'Nien started at right back this afternoon as well. How well did that work? It's time to have your say then this evening on those two games. Give us a call for free. It's 0800 234 6565. That number again, 0800 234 6565. You can send us a message as well on WhatsApp, 08000 321 333. 08000 321 333. You can give us a text as well. It's just 81 333. But if you are sending us a message, start your messages with the letters BBC.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
On BBC iPlayer.
I'm going to share a story that barely seems believable.
Keanu Reeves tells one of the greatest underdog stories in Formula One.
You either push the limit or you're nothing.
Brawn, the impossible Formula One story.
We push to the limit.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
2 big wins for Newcastle United over Ipswich today and Sunderland over Norwich at the Stadium of Light. Let's run you through the other results from around the country today. We begin in the Premier League. In the early kick-off, Aston Villa beat Manchester City 2-1. Duran and Rodgers with the goals for Villa, and then Phil Foden with a bit of a consolation goal in the 93rd minute. Nottingham Forest have beaten Brentford 2-0 at the G-Tech this afternoon. And the only other 3 o'clock kick-off today was West Ham and Brighton. That one has finished 1-1 at the London Stadium. And in the Premier League later, well, in about 20 minutes or so, Crystal Palace take on Arsenal at Selhurst Park.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into the Championship then, and we had 3 early games this afternoon. Hull beat Swansea 2-1. Portsmouth are out 4-1 winners over Frank Lampard's Coventry City, and Sheffield Wednesday 2-0 winners over Stoke this afternoon. Sheffield Wednesday also had a man sent off. Into the 3 o'clocks, and Burnley, they have beaten Watford 2-1. Sheffield United have gone away to Cardiff and won 2-0. Leeds, a pretty big win for them. Today doesn't really help Sunderland's cause, but they beat Oxford 4-0. Millwall 1-0 winners over Blackburn this afternoon. An interesting game in Devon. Plymouth and Middlesbrough have played out a 3-3 draw. QPR 2-1 winners over Preston. That was the only other game in the Championship this afternoon.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into League One then, we had 2 early games. Bristol Rovers played out a 1-1 draw with Wrexham, and Lincoln, they beat Reading 2-0. Into the 3 o'clocks, and Leyton Orient 4-0 winners away to Barnsley. It finished goalless between Blackpool and Stevenage. Exeter 2-1 winners away to Burton Albion. Mansfield Town 1-0 over Rotherham. It finished Charlton 5, Northampton 0 this afternoon. Charlton away from home in that one. And the only other game in League One this afternoon was Wigan in Shrewsbury. That one finished 2-2.
Total Sport North East.
Get the latest team news, score updates and post-match reaction on Twitter at BBC Newcastle.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into League 2 then, there was 2 early games this afternoon. Barrow, they beat Fleetwood 2-0, and Doncaster were 3-1 winners over Tranmere. Into the 3 o'clocks, and Salford won 2-0 away to Accrington Stanley. Chesterfield 1-0 winners over AFC Wimbledon. Walsall going away to Harrogate and winning 1-0. Bromley this afternoon, they went away to Morecambe, winning 2-0 there. Newport put 6 past MK Dons. They finished 6-3 there. Notts County, they ran out 3-0 winners over Bradford City. Carlisle went away to Port Vale and got a point. It finished goalless there. The only other game this afternoon in League 2 was Swindon against Grimsby, and Swindon won 3-1.
Total Sport North East.
The Newcastle and Sunderland AFC podcast
on BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Non-league wise, this afternoon Gateshead were away to Ipswich in the National League. They won 4-1 this afternoon down there. Ipswich bottom of the table, so a pretty expected result for Gateshead this afternoon. International League North then, and South Shields, they return to struggling at Marine. South Shields have pushed themselves closer to the playoffs with a 2-0 win. Paul Blackett with 2 first half goals. Our featured game this afternoon came in the MPL Premier, where Hebburn Town were taking on Blythe Spartans in a bit of a local derby this afternoon. That's where our local football reporter Paul Dixon was watching and can tell us how it's finished.
The full-time score, Dom: Hebburn 3, Blythe Spartans 1. Brilliant performance by Hebburn, especially in the first half with the wind on their back. They went ahead on 7 minutes. Pedro Gomez, excellent finish. It was superb through ball by Danny Savage, set them up, and Gomez just dinked the ball into the corner to put them 1 up very early in the game. And then on 27 minutes they deservedly went 2 up, and it was ex-Blythe player Matty Elson scoring with a fierce low shot at the back post following a corner from Ollie Martin. 2-0 at half-time. The home team were good value for their 2-0 at half-time. Came out in the second half and it took them 4 minutes to go 3-0 up. Top goal scorer Arnwell Purewell finish up a good move. Mark Noble with all his class, a delightful ball into the box, and there was Purewell to finish. Blythe picked themselves up the last 20 minutes and pulled a goal back. Bullet header from Captain Shea Richardson following a corner from Dean Briggs, but it was all too little too late. It was Heburn's day, really worthy winners today. Excellent 3 points for Hebburn, but Blythe still firmly cemented at the bottom of the league.
Paul Dixon, thank you very much. For the moment, Hebburn Town up to 7th in the table. Morpeth Town up to 10th after a 1-0 win this afternoon, so great result for Morpeth there at Craig Park this afternoon. They were against Gainsborough Trinity. Into the East Division this afternoon, a good result for Ashington at home to Ossett United this afternoon. Bit of a relegation battle there. Ashington winning 2-1. Heaton Stannington also sitting just above the relegation zone in 18th. They were away to Belper, who are 3rd in the table, but they lost 3-0. Heaton Stannington there, so a defeat on the road for them this afternoon. Concert, better news for them though, they won 2-1 at home to Sherwood Colliery, and great news for Dunstan this afternoon. They have pushed themselves up to 6th and sit just outside the playoffs after a 3-2 win away to Pontefract Collieries this afternoon. Of course, we'll round up all of those games in our local football roundup at 5:45.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Dominic Jameson back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Keep your calls and messages coming in. Give us a call 0800 234 6565. WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Send us a text about A1333. Start your messages though with the letters BBC. We'll go to them shortly and speak to Ando and Benno. But first, just want to quickly preview our other commentary this afternoon in Rugby Union's Premiership. The Newcastle Falcons take on Bath at Kingston Park at 5:30. With our full match commentary with Dean Gray and John Pearson via the BBC Sport website and on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. And Dean joins me now. It's going to be a tough old task for the Falcons today, Dean.
It certainly is, Dom. The weather conditions are not great. There's a bumper crowd here tonight. It's got to be said, 8 and a bit thousand, I think, expected. It looks pretty busy already as we move towards kick-off. This Bath side is top of the tree, top of the Premiership finalists last season as well, of course, and they're there for a reason. They are very good. They're a team packed with international talents. 243 caps in the starting 15, another 69 to come off the bench. They've lost one game this season, and it's going to be a tough ask for Newcastle tonight, although the conditions might well be a leveller. It's getting colder,
It's dark, it's Newcastle, a very big home crowd to cheer the boys on who have won the last 2 Premiership games at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with what I said last week, Dom, and that is, I think that the back row of Bath will be too strong, too mobile and too ball carrying, and of course at number 10 you've got that mercurial maverick, the Scotsman, Mr. F. Russell, who can bring bits of magic from nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to mention Dean and Jamie Blumire back for the Falcons are too, but a big player to have back in there.
He certainly is, yeah. He's obviously, I don't think it's been confirmed by the club yet, Don, but he's away at the end of the season as the Whisper, replacing Julian Montosha down at Leicester. But yeah, he's a big player for the big occasion, and Jamie will make a difference. The Newcastle missing Sammy Arnold through injury. They've got a long injury list if you actually have a look at it. Arnold is a big player this season for them so far in terms of carrying in midfield. There's 16 players out, injured or not available for different reasons, which is a big slab of players when you've got a slim squad. So a tough ask, as we said before, for Newcastle, but they'll be buoyed by their Gallagher Premiership performances so far this season. The 2 wins that they've taken are important. They're off the bottom of the table, and they turned over Saracens not so long back, which was a shock to everybody.
Stranger things have happened. Dean and John, thank you very much for the moment. Then just a reminder then, full match commentary with Dean and John from 5:30 via the BBC Sport website and app, or you can listen on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Back to the football though. Dominic James back in the Radio Newcastle studio, John Anderson at Portman Road, Gary Bennett at the stadium. All right, we're reflecting on 2 big results for our sides this afternoon. We'll start with you, and pretty emphatic that, wasn't it?
It was unbelievably comfortable. I don't think you'll get a more comfortable away result. I mean, at 25 seconds in, you're a goal up, and from that moment on, it was plain sailing. Could have been more. Delighted for Isak getting his hat-trick. He could have had more. Ipswich offered very, very little. They were just outplayed all over the park. They were out-muscled. They were pushed. They were shoved. And 4-0 doesn't flatter us at all. If anything, it probably and should have been more. It was a real good performance to come away from home and do that. So yeah, I think we've looked at the last couple of games and thought, can we do it away from home now? Well, the answer is yes, because we've come here, we've totally dominated from minute 1 to minute 90. And as I say, 4-0 doesn't flatter us at all.
Yeah, Ipswich probably were caused their own downfall a bit. I mean, Isak's goal where he got it basically on the 6-yard box, and you're not going to get much easier than that in the Premier League, are you?
No, you're not. I mean, you watch Foster the other night at Spurs, and you think, will teams learn from that? And then you go and you see one here tonight, and you go, well, no, they don't. I mean, the goalkeeper tries to pass a ball from his goal line to a boy on the 6-yard box, and you think, what are you doing? What are you absolutely doing? You can't do that with the quality of players that you've got in and around there, and Isak was never ever going to miss. I mean, it was probably the simplest goal he'd score all season. But from an attacking, sorry, Dom.
I was going to say, how about that assist as well from Jacob Murphy for Isak's
the back heel. I mean, and then he did an Arthur Rowley little toe poke past the goalkeeper.
Hit with some venom.
He's look at Isak's he's a good player. He should have more goals than he's got, to be fair. When you look at the chances that he's missed, he's had another one today where he's through and he's done what he's done in the last few games, just chipped it straight into the keeper's hands. So even though he's scoring goals, he could have had an awful lot more.
Yeah, and so Newcastle then up to 7th in the Premier League table, 26 points, a point behind Manchester City, and only 4 points off Arsenal in 4th this week. These last few matches, and it's turned their season around all of a sudden, hasn't it?
Yeah, we said it was going to be a big week, and so it's proved. Absolutely battered Leicester again. Could have been so many more than the 4 that we got. Should have been so many more than the 4. Then obviously the good cup win against Brentford, and then coming here and putting 4 past past Ipswich. You know, it doesn't get much better than that. It sets us up nicely for the Christmas fixtures coming up. But look at today. If you're going to be really blunt about it, it was men against boys, basically. They were just never at the races.
Gary Bennett at the Stadium of Light, and Benno, this young team just doesn't know when it's beat, does it?
No, not at all. What they have shown, especially in the last couple of games, is a little bit of character. You've got to say, in the first 45 minutes, Norwich were the better team. You know, they came, they were bright, they got themselves in the lead, but you know, credit to Sunderland, half time they came out and they pressed higher up the pitch, started to ask questions, made it not so easy for Norwich to play, and we got back into the game with a Ballard header, which was the equaliser. And again, you look at the turning point, and it may be because the referee, for me, was poor. He's handed out 9.
I was going to say, how many yellow cards do you want to give out on one match?
Nine yellow cards, and you know, it was odds on that somebody was going to get sent off, and that was the turning point. Cordoba, second yellow, and from the free kick, Joe Bellingham scored a fantastic goal. You know, he could have fit it with his left, he's pulled it back onto his right and slotted it into the far corner.
Yeah, he's getting the knack now, isn't he, of scoring important goals from midfield for Sunderland, which, you know, with the likes of maybe Isidore maybe not in form, they're going to need these goals from elsewhere, aren't they?
Yes, as you say, you can't just rely on Wilson Isidore. He had a great opportunity, especially in the second half, to score, and he's put it over the bar. But Mayenda, he showed bright sparks today, you know, and that's going to be interesting. Do you start with Mayenda as an out-and-out striker rather than playing him wide on the left or right-hand side?
Yeah. Let's go to the phone lines, because Ando, I know we've only got you for 15 more minutes before you have to make the long trip back to the northeast. At least it'll be an enjoyable one. But let's go to the phone lines. Johnny is a Newcastle fan and joins us now. Evening, Johnny.
Evening, gents. How you doing?
Hey, Johnny. Yeah, good.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly, Andrew. I think it was men versus boys today. I think Ipswich were very naive, particularly at 2-0, playing it from the back, particularly when there was only a couple of minutes left. But you know, it was very, very comfortable. Like, Isak should have been hoping for a minimum a hat-trick. You know, there's just one big chance when it was 1-0, but it was so comfortable. But I have to give a lot of credit to Jacob Murphy today. You know, fantastic performance of Jacob Murphy. He's had a lot of criticism from Newcastle fans alike, but you know, I know he's up against a level of opposition that he expected to do well, but he just didn't give it such a moment's rest. It's a fantastic finish. His first goal, the assist for the fourth goal was absolutely fantastic. You know, he has meant to try and get the ball to Isak, who puts it away, but it was a very, very comfortable and dominant performance in his 3 minutes and so.
Yeah, look at it. Ipswich got off to an absolute nightmare start. You know, they concede after 25 seconds. The boy tries to play offside and he gets it wrong. It was tight, but it seemed to take forever for them to come to the decision that he was onside as well. But ball played in, they don't clear it. Isak coming on to it, just hits it into the ground, flies past the keeper. Murphy's goal, you know, he has all the room in the world in the penalty area. They just don't pick him up, and it's a great look. He can strike a ball, there's no doubt about that, and it's a great strike. It's past the keeper before he even sees it, and we should have won by more, to be quite honest, Johnny. You know, we took our foot off the pedal a little bit in the second half, but we were in total control of that game from minute one. Well, from 25 seconds in all the way through to 94 minutes. You know, Ipswich never laid a glove on us, and I thought they'd be a bit better. I thought they'd have a bit more about them, but they showed absolutely nothing at all.
No, they didn't. I think they were missing Delap massively. I think he's a real presence for Ipswich, and I think, you know, when you see Sammy Smoddock's, no disrespect, a very, very good Championship player, but unproven in the Premier League, it was a very easy afternoon for Cher and Burn. But you look at the midfield. Yeah, I
mean, they had no physical presence about them at all. They'd no height about them. You know, they got shoved and pushed and got dominated all over the park. It was a real good performance, you know, and it sets us up nicely for the Christmas period. I mean, Villa, good win today, but we've got them on Boxing Day, you know, and it's been a real good week for Eddie Howe and his team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what we needed. We needed a good week going into 3 very, very difficult games, another Manchester United and Spurs. But yeah, I think, the thing is, it's, in terms of the Premier League, it's back-to-back clean sheets, and that'll just give the likes of Nebraska a lot of confidence, the defence a lot of confidence. And, let's give a shout out to Lewis Hall as well. I thought he's been absolutely fantastic since he's had a real good run in the team. And, he's been absolutely immense. And, he's going to be England's left back for the future. He has to be, because he is that good. Hopefully he gets a chance in the Tuchel.
Well, you would hope so. If he keeps performing the way that he is, I don't think there's any doubt about that. He was excellent again today. He got forward, he joined in, used the ball well. Defensively, he was solid. The boy most definitely has a huge future. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Johnny, thank you very much for your phone call this evening. You can give us a call as well tonight, 0800 234 6565. This message is from Ken, who says, a great win and performance for Eddie Howe's Newcastle. The only critique I can offer is they missed glaring chances on goal. They need to take time to watch how Alan Shearer scored goals. Some Hollywood, some scrappy. He also scored goals low and hard to beat the keepers. Isaac, Gordon, Murphy and Barnes, take note, says Ken.
Dear oh dear, you come away from home, score 4 and you win 4-0 and people are complaining. Hey dear. Yeah, look, it's crazy. Look, I understand. Yeah, we could have had more and probably should have had more, but you come away from home in the Premier League and you win 4-0. You've had a 4-0 win at home the previous Premier League game. I don't think you can have too many complaints of that, though.
Yeah, let's go back to the phones. Rob is a Sunderland fan. Good evening, Rob.
Hiya. Firstly, before I go to Gary, John, all the best to you and Razor and all the Newcastle lads.
And you, Rob, thank you. Yeah, okay, and you. Right, cheers, mate.
Okay, right, Gary.
Hello, Rob.
Right, I am thrilled with that win this afternoon. We were awful. It was a touchy win. It was a bad-tempered game. But, when you can win in conditions like that, because the conditions weren't very good either, and I don't think we played well at all, but that is the sign of a good team, and that, Gary, is why we will go up this season. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, they're showing good character today, Rob. You've got to say the first 45 minutes. You've got to give credit to Norwich. They came here, and they did cause us 1 or 2 problems. Their movement and the amount of times they got behind us, and you come at half time and we were scratching our heads and you're thinking, right, what are we going to do? What's plan B? And to be fair to Reggie Lebris, what he's done is they got further up the field, they pressed higher up, and they started to get hold of the ball and started to ask questions.
They certainly did. I mean, when we scored, it was a good time to get that equalising goal just after half time. And after that, it was, we pushed on. Yeah, we got the break when they had that player sent off, but you've still got a team to beat, and getting the goal immediately after you went well, that just lifted it. We could have won more comfortably in the end, but I'll take those 3 points any day. We're hanging in there. We're still fourth, I know, with the 3 teams above us already today, but it's put a little bit of a gap now between us and Blackburn in 5th place. And, there's still a lot of football to play, but I really, really am pleased with that tonight. I'm in the fans museum at the moment, and it's absolutely buzzing in here. It really, really is.
It was an easy game, was it, Rob? Because people look on it and thinking, we should easily beat Norwich. But you've got to say, the first 45 minutes, what I've seen off Norwich, they looked a very good team. They passed the ball well, they caused us 1 or 2 problems. But credit to Sunderland that we stuck at it, and you're going to have games like that. But we came out in the second half, and we got our game going. And again, sometimes we criticise Anthony Patterson about his distribution, but I tell you what, he made a fantastic save.
He certainly did.
He did an excellent save there.
Yes, he did 3 points.
So. But it was a huge win for Sunderland this afternoon.
I mean, I don't know what the general consensus is, because obviously I'm just seeing it from where I'm sitting. But the Norwich number 7, who was he irritated us all afternoon. I know he got booed, but he was going down left. But I tell you what, he looked a good player, and that's the player. He looked a good player. And I mean, yes, I booed him and told him to stop it, but yeah, that's the type of player you've got to look at. But I cannot describe how much I'm pleased tonight with that. Really am.
Sanic, he was, shall we say, a pain in the butt.
He was.
It's a nice way of putting it,
Yeah. Okay. Right. Anyway, you all have a wonderful Christmas.
You too, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
And we'll see you on Boxing Day. Bye now. Bye.
Good stuff.
Take it easy.
A very happy Sunderland fan, Rob, after that win today. And Benno, I guess Rob's probably every Sunderland fan tonight. The belief is all of a sudden back. Sunderland fourth in the Championship, 43 points, 2 points off Leeds in second, and that belief's back now, isn't it?
Yeah, the belief's back, the character's back, and I think that just typifies the last couple of games. We was 2-0 down against Swansea, we've come back 1-3-2. We was 1-0 down against Norwich in at half time, we've come back and win 2-1. That shows character, and again, the young players are growing, and each game they're getting better. And again, I keep pointing out or highlighting the lad Bellingham, Joe Bellingham. He is a player.
Yeah,
he is a player because he took his opportunity fantastically well. He could have easily hit it with his left foot and hoped, but he's pulled it back onto his right and placed it into the far corner. It was an excellent finish.
Yeah, he showed some great composure. We'll go back to the phone lines in just a moment. Keep your calls coming in. 0800 234 6565.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Hi, it's Matt here, and I am done for the year. I'm off for Christmas. Thank you so much to every single one of you who has listened to The Breakfast Show and got in touch all through the year. We've had loads of great festive music from local artists on the show this week.
Won't you stay another day?
And you can hear all of those artists on a BBC Sounds special. Don't worry, The Breakfast Show continues. Kelly Scott will be back Monday, and I shall see you in the new year.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Comes down to Sirkin. Now Joe trying to get on the end of this one. And Joe!
Yes!
Get in! Brought the ball down beautifully onto his right foot and curls it past Gunn. And Sunderland now lead 2-1.
And it comes to Murphy. Still Jacob Murphy. He's kept hold of it and found Isak. Isak stabs it into the net. Alexander Isak's first Newcastle United hat-trick. And the first Newcastle player to score 3 times in a game since Jose Perez more than 5 years ago. He had the initial chance and was tackled, and then Jacob Murphy kept it alive, found him with a back heel, and Isak celebrates a hat-trick, and Newcastle celebrate a 4th goal. 54 minutes at Portman Road. They have increased their lead. It's Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 4.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Dominic James back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Gary Bennett at the stadium of John Anderson at Portman Road for just a couple more minutes, and we've got Graham, who's a Newcastle fan, who's give us a call tonight on 0800 234 6565. Good evening, Graham.
Hiya fellas. Hiya John.
Hey Graham.
John, I've watched the game, and I think you mentioned it, the gulf between Premier League and the Championship is huge. And to me, it looks as though the 3 teams that came up this season for the 2nd year in a row more than likely will go down again, because that gap is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, we've played Leicester, we've played Ipswich today, and to use one of your phrases, I don't think neither team laid a glove on us.
No.
It's just the gulf is huge, really is huge. It was a great performance, and the good thing is now we haven't got that international break that interrupted us a few weeks ago when we went on a similar little run, but then we had that international break, remember, and then I think we went to, can't remember what it was now, but obviously we didn't come back.
Palace, wasn't it?
Yeah, Palace, sorry. But this time, hopefully we can keep it going. I mean, it's a great preparation for the Aston Villa game. The fact that he was able to take players off, give them a little bit of a rest. yeah, of course it could have had more. But listen, whenever you win 4-0 and 3-0, people are always going to say it could have been more. Isaac, one-to-ones. I mean, how many has he missed this season, one-to-ones? But you can't criticise him because he's prolific. You know,
but he keeps. The thing is, great. He keeps getting in those positions. As long as he keeps getting in those positions, you know, he'll back himself. You know, but look, it got off to a perfect start. Goal after 25 seconds, and from then on in, it was just all. It was one-way traffic for the rest of the game. You know, it was. I said it was men against boys. You know, they didn't have a physical presence. They never won a 50-50. They never even tried to kick us, to be fair. You know, it was very, very comfortable. It really was.
To be honest, John, I don't know who was worse, either Leicester last week or Ipswich this week. They were both as bad as each other. You know, neither side at any stage of the game, not even a 5-minute spell when you thought, whoa, you know, we're on the back foot here. We just literally bossed it again for 2 games in a row. And again, you know, the gap between Premier League and Championship is huge. Absolutely massive. But listen, I think going into the Boxing Day game now, I think obviously Villa will be a tougher game, but we've got nothing to fear. Confidence should be high. We've got a good, strong bench again. Keep Isaac fit. January transfer market coming up. Hopefully bring a couple of players in. And then we've got the semi-finals to look forward to against Arsenal. So, you know, happy days, great, brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. You know, look, I think the Villa game it'll be a good game. They had a good win today. You know, you know how they play. It won't be easy, but I think confidence-wise, we've got to be buzzing. You know, you've scored 4 against Leicester. You put 3 past Brentford in the cup, and then you've come here and scored another 4. So, you know, you got to be happy with that. All of a sudden, we wondered where the goals were going to come from. You know, the goals had dried up a bit, and all of a sudden we started scoring them again. And there's other people getting on the score sheet as well, which is a big bonus for us. But look at it; it could have been more today. But anytime you go away from home in the Premier League and win 4-0, you've got to be more than happy.
Yeah, Graham, thank you very much for that. Ando, we'll let you go because you've got to make long trip back to the northeast.
All the best, boys. Have a good Christmas. See you soon.
All the best.
Cheers.
Ando.
Bye.
Safe journey, Ando boy.
Cheers, Gary. All the best, mate.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
John Anderson, thank you very much. Keep your Sunderland calls coming in though. Benno's here for another 15 minutes, so do keep your calls coming in. 0800 234 6565. And up next on the line is Sunderland fan Colin and Imogen. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Colin.
Hi,
Imogen, how are you?
We're doing really well.
Really well, yeah.
And Colin, I believe it was Imogen's first game today.
Yeah, she's been to a couple of friendlies and she's been to some of the women's games. This is the first one that she's had in the winter. Absolutely freezing, but loved every minute.
Oh, that's brilliant. What did you think of it, Imogen? What did you think of the game?
I thought all the players did really well, but if I was given man of the match out, I would say number 13, Nico 9, would win man of the match.
Luke O'Nan was your man of the match?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, because he was moving into space and not just standing waiting for the ball to come to him. And I also think that Job did really good as well, because it wasn't his best team, but he scored the goal and it was a really good goal.
That's some great analysis, that, Imogen.
That is indeed.
Colin,
do you play
football,
football, Imogen?
Oh, sorry, say that again.
I was just going to say, who was your man of the match, Colin?
Oh, to be honest with you, I thought Mepham and Ballard were absolute rocks at the back tonight. I thought they were fantastic. It's hard playing in the wind, but I reckon they were just solid as always.
What was your question for Imogen?
I was going to ask Imogen, do you play football, Imogen?
Yeah.
Do you? What position do you play? What position do you play?
Left wing.
Left wing? Wow. What did you think of Mayenda or Patrick Roberts playing on the left wing today?
I think, they think they did really good as well.
Did they? Fantastic.
Yeah, because Robert did some good runs up the line.
Yeah. Colin, what was your thoughts on Luke O'Nien starting ahead of Trey Hume?
I thought it was a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect them to start at right back. First half, I think the team kind of started off really, really well, and then kind of fizzled out a little bit. And I think Luke O'Nien was on there for his kind of leadership and a bit of graft. I think Saints got the better of him a couple of times to pick up the yellow card as everybody was kind of getting stuck in. But we know what Luke O'Nien's like. You can stick him any position you want, and you know you're going to get a good performance out of him.
Yeah. Would you keep him at right back, or would you bring Trey Hume back? And would you keep Luke O'Nien in the team? And if you do keep Luke O'Nien in the team, where would you play him?
Well, I think with Ballard going off, I think he slots naturally back into centre half if he's not fit for the next game. But it's a good problem to have when we've got 3-4 centre halves if you count Alessi, and Hale, I don't think's done anything wrong this season as well, all literally competing for spaces. And if he can cover it right back, left back, wherever he's kind of needed as well. I just think he brings a real leadership to the team and a bit of a drive. Even when there's 40,000 in, he still get his gob going, and you can still see the energy that he brings. So if you can find a place for him, I think he does as well as anybody pretty much in any of them.
Excellent.
Imogen, are you wanting to go to another game now after that?
Definitely, yeah.
And here's the big question for them, Imogen. Are Sunderland going to get promoted this year?
Yeah.
That's confidence for you, Benno.
Brilliant, Imogen. That's fantastic, that. Keep supporting the players, the boys.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All of the time, definitely, yeah.
Oh, good.
Thank
Colin
you.
and Imogen,
Brilliant.
thank you very much.
Cheers,
thank you
Colin.
very much for giving us a
Imogen.
call.
Thanks, cheers out.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what football's all about, Benno, isn't it? Going to your first game.
It is indeed. First game.
Memories last a lifetime.
It will. She'll always remember her first game.
Just coming after your job as well with analysis like that.
It is indeed. She knows a lot about football. Fantastic.
Indeed. We'll go back to the phone lines in just a moment, but we can get some post-match reaction to Newcastle's win this afternoon at Portman Road. Matthew Raisbeck has been talking to... Have we got it? Yeah, we have. We can now hear from Eddie Howe, who's been talking to Matthew Raisbeck.
Really good performance from us. I think it helps when you score so early in the game. It settles you down. Our away form has been a bit patchy. But I thought today, from start to finish, it was a really strong performance against a very difficult opponent, so we're absolutely delighted to win. I think you could see that we had won our previous games. I think it was a confidence that maybe we haven't exhibited well enough away from home. There was a really high level, I thought, to our performance and our mentality today. I think we know it's in there. We've just got to deliver it on a consistent basis, but the recent signs look good.
Eddie, that was Alexander Isak's first hat-trick for Newcastle. It was actually the club's first hat-trick for more than 5 years, so a very meaningful thing, but it's been probably a long time coming for him. He's scored twice a lot, but today he got the 3.
Yeah, it's not lost on me how important that is for him more than anyone else, really, because I think he has scored a lot of singular goals and doubles. We've really wanted him to go on and try and get the hat-trick for himself and just to boost his confidence levels even more. Delighted for him. It'll be a moment I'm sure he always remembers.
And Dan Burn had one disallowed right at the end for offside. Is the only disappointment today the manner of the size of the scoreline, because you could have had more goals, couldn't you? There's so many big chances.
Yeah, there was, and I think for us we're a little bit frustrated that we weren't more clinical, because on another day we might have needed those goals to win the game. But I think the big thing for me, we're creating. A few weeks ago we were shy of that, those combinations in the attacking third. Great to see us return to our best.
That is the Newcastle head coach Eddie Howe talking after Newcastle's win against Ipswich this afternoon. We'll try and bring you some Regis Labrise if we've got time before 1:45. The full interviews will be available to listen to on BBC Sounds later. Back to Sunderland though, and on the phones now is Neil, is a Sunderland fan. Give us a call tonight on 0800 234 6565. Another comeback, Neil. Another good win.
Amazing, Dominic. Gary, I said at half time, I was with my mate Liam, I said, well, 2 things. I'll settle for a 1-1 draw, and because we cannot expect to come back again the way we did. I'm just absolutely high as a kite. It was a good performance second half. I'm absolutely delighted. And and it gives that extra 10%. Everybody's going to have a happy Christmas. Because at Q4, we were just going to have a bit of a downer over Christmas till Boxing Day. And now we're all happy, aren't we?
Yeah. And what do you think the difference was at half from, in the second half?
I think we moved the ball quicker. We moved the ball quicker. I felt sorry for Isidore because he worked his socks off and he makes runs and they don't find him. But I thought we moved the ball quicker. I thought the lads took control of the midfield. The defenders, Metten was outstanding again, I thought. To answer your question about Trey Hume, I would definitely start him ahead of Luke O'Nien. I thought, I prefer Luke O'Nien. I prefer Trey at right back. But very good. I thought Job had a great game. Scored a great goal.
Yeah. He did.
All promising, Gary.
Yeah, and again, I think we're learning from this team, aren't we? And one thing which is coming to the forefront is the character from the players. They're growing, aren't they? And they're growing, and they've got that belief that they can go and win games. Even though they might be trailing by a goal or two, they've got that belief that they can come back into the game and go on and win the game, and that's a good sign.
Excellent. One thing, I don't know, I've just got back the car, Gary, so I don't know if you already covered, but I thought the referee didn't referee the game sensibly at all. He made, there was always going to be a sending off, and I thought he had a poor game. And obviously we benefited from it in the end, but poor refereeing. But hey ho, we'll take it sometimes with a victim of poor refereeing.
I think he caused that situation in regards of the amount of yellow cards which he, shall we say, give out, and it was odds on that somebody was going to get sent off.
Yeah.
So, Neil, just quickly, we've had a couple of messages. This one is from Nick. Great result today, but a little bit concerned of Wilson Isidore's form struggling in front of goal. Is that any concern for you, Neil?
It is a bit. I would prefer to get us to get a centre. I would like us to get another centre forward in. He scored a couple of wonder goals, didn't he, earlier on? And I just don't know if the round the box stuff is his game. Maybe it's more Aaron Connolly. I wanted to see Connolly on, actually. So it's a slight concern, but as long as the goals are coming, we're still scoring plenty of goals overall, aren't we? As long as the goals are coming, we can't complain. So can I just wish everybody Merry Christmas,
Neil,
even the black and whites.
Good stuff. Neil, thank you very much for your phone call this evening. Thank you very much to everyone who's called and messages this evening. Just on that point, Benno, is it a little bit of a concern at all for you that he's now gone a few games without getting a goal?
It's not a major concern because he's getting there to miss the opportunities. You look at the opportunity which he had in the second half at Hull. He did the same. It was the same, ran about 40-50 yards with the ball, and it was a little dink over the goalkeeper. This time he's ran the same, but he's put the ball over the crossbar. So you got to look at when he first was burst into the team. Everything he touched went in. At this present moment, everything he touches going wide of the post or over the crossbar. He can't score to save his life. But he's just got to get there. He's getting there. He's in that, shall we say, position where he is missing them. So if he wasn't in that position, then questions would be asked.
This message is from Ryan, who said, I mentioned earlier that the belief was back for Sunderland fans. Ryan's replied and said the belief never went. Yes, we had a little bit of a blip. Saying it's back, it never went. That's from Ryan.
Yeah, you're going to have little blips, aren't you?
Oh,
you're not always going to go right throughout the season playing attractive football, keeping clean sheets, winning every single week. It's not going to happen.
And if Sunderland's blip is them drawing a few matches and then being fourth and 5 points off the top, Sheffield United, who are top, then that's not a bad blip, really, is it, to have?
Listen, I don't think anybody was expecting Sunderland to be where they are at this present moment, and you've got to say that they're in a very, very good position. and it'll be interesting once we've got the Blackburn, Stoke coming up, games coming up, Sheffield coming up, get through this period here, and then we'll see where we are.
And this one is from Keith, who just says, we can't keep giving teams a head start. That one's from Keith in Washington.
That's how good we are, we can.
Just testing themselves.
We'll learn. The goals which we've conceded again. The Swansea goal, couple of Swansea goals. The second one at Swansea was an excellent strike from a free kick, but today a set piece, poor to defend. So once we put them right, we'll always create opportunities going at the other end.
Yeah, and I guess just final point, I guess, is that they keep learning, don't they, these Sunderland players? Lebris,
that's right,
keeps getting reactions out of this side.
Yeah, he keeps asking and they keep delivering, and that's a good sign.
Indeed. Well, that's a very positive way to finish before Christmas, Benno. And I guess now it's all smiles heading into that busy festive period.
All smiles and Merry Christmas, Dom.
Indeed. Merry Christmas to you, Benno. Thank you very much for your company this evening. Enjoy your festive period, whatever you may be up to. Right. We unfortunately didn't get to hear from Regis Lebris, but we will put the full interview up on BBC Sounds later on this evening, so you can go on X, where at BBC Newcastle, we'll post the link there, or on the BBC Sunderland Facebook page. But now on BBC Radio Newcastle, we're going to be talking non-league football next.
They're the Christmas songs that you know and love, but have you ever wondered who were the real kids who sang with Wizard?
When I told my mum and dad, they were, I don't know. And I said, if you don't let me go, I'll never speak to you again.
Why the girls in Wham's last Christmas video could have been different.
He didn't want me to go because George is so impossibly handsome. He said, I'll pay you not to go, because he was jealous.
Or what was it like being on set in the snow in Lapland with Shakin' Stevens?
Getting called onto set by an elf was, I thought, pretty amazing.
The untold stories behind the festive songs you know so well. Christmas Hits Unwrapped with me, Sally Lindsay. Listen now on BBC Sounds.
Local football.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
You're listening to the local football roundup here on BBC Radio Newcastle with me, Dominic James. It's the only place to hear reaction to the day's non-league games in the North East. We'll hear from some of those involved in today's games in just a moment, but first we'll hear of all today's results is Grace McDonough.
Thank you, Dom. Starting in the Vanarama National League, Ebbsfleet 1, Gateshead 4. And in the Vanarama National League North, South Shields 2, Marine 0. And in the Pitching In Premier League Premier Division, Hebburn Town 3, Blythe Spartans 1, Morpeth Town 1, Gainsborough Trinity 0. And in the Pitching In Premier League East Division, Ashington 2, Ossett United 1, Belper 3, Heaton Stannington 0, Concert 2, Sherwood Colliery 1, Pontefract Collieries 2, Dunstan 3. And in the EBAC Northern League Division 1, Newcastle Blue Star 4, Seaham Red Star 2, Blythe Town 0, Shildon 5, Borough Rangers 2, Mask United 0, Crook Town 0, Birtley Town 0, Easington Colliery 0, Whitley Bay 1, Northallerton Town 2, Newcastle Benfield 4, Penrith 0, Penrith 0, Gisborough Town 2, Redcar Athletic 1, North Shields 2, Towler Town 3, Kendal Town 4, Carlisle City 2, Wickham 1. And in the EBAC Northern League Division 2, Billingham Town 1, Redcar Town 0, FC Hartlepool 0, Horden CW 0, Grangetown Boys Club 3, Washington 1, Darlington Town 2, Sunderland West End 2, Eschwinning 0, Chester Street United 1, Jarrah 1, Yarmouth Eagles Cliff 2, Newcastle University 1, Prudhoe IC Seniors 1, Sunderland RCA 2, Chester Street Town 4, Thornaby 2, Alnwick Town 0, Billingham Synthonia 4, Brighton and Croker Albion 3. And finally, in the East of Scotland Qualifying Cup 4th round, Crossgates Primrose 2, Berwick Rangers 2. Dom.
Grace, thank you very much for all of them. We'll head to our featured game first, which came in the MPL Premier, a bit of a local derby. Hebburn Town against Blythe Spartans, and Paul Dixon was there for us, and a good day for Hebburn, not so much for Blythe.
Brilliant day for Hebburn, Dom. I've really enjoyed myself here this afternoon. Great atmosphere. It's Christmas, as we know, but nearly 700 people here enjoyed a real good game, especially if you're a Hebburn fan. I've got Daniel Moore with me, the manager of Hebburn. Daniel, great win, 3 good points, but the performance that he has played in the first half really caught my eye, and I think that's the best I've seen you play for a long time.
Yeah, I think we played well the last few weeks. I think obviously last week we went down to 10 men after 1 minute and still played really well. And then we seem to be backing it back up after, I'd say, a sticky spell, which you're going to have in this division. With our small squad, you lose 1 or 2, it can affect you, which it did. But we've got everyone back, trained really well, and we worked on a few things in training. And that first goal was probably the best goal I've seen us score all season, and we worked on that in training, so it's nice to see it come into play.
And you're talking about goal scorers. It was a brilliant goal, the first goal from Pedro Gomez, but Armour Purewell, that's his 12th goal. He just keeps, as he gets older, he just keeps scoring goals, doesn't he?
Yeah, and the good thing about him, he gets annoyed when he doesn't score, and I think that's a sign of a goal scorer, when they get annoyed that they might have only scored 1 or not got 1. But he keeps pushing himself, and he's an example, I think, to not just the rest of the squad, but any young striker watching him or playing in the divisions below is one to look up to, I think.
Now, Daniel, you're 7th in the league now. Them 3 points have pushed you there. You definitely want to get into the playoffs. 2 tough games coming off, Stockton away on Boxing Day and Workington at home here on New Year's Day. You need to get something out of them, don't you?
Yeah, I think any level of football, if you can get 2 wins out of 3 or 6 or 7 points over your festive fixtures, especially part-time football, you're going to snap someone's hand off. So that's what we're aiming for. 3 wins would be great, but be a tough game down at Stockton on Boxing Day, and looking forward to it.
And just quickly going back to the crowd here, I mean, Blythe brought a few today, but just short of 700, and it's been a carnival atmosphere. I know, like I say before, it's Christmas, but great spirit at the ground.
Yeah, we obviously, every club will say the same. They want more fans through the gate. Well, I think when people do come in, they have a good experience when they come to the ground, the setup, the facilities, and obviously we try and put the best team out there on the pitch to succeed. So the club's going really well. There's a nice feel around the place, and we're just doing our best to keep it going.
Well, good luck for the second half of the season, Daniel. Terrific game this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Paul Dixon and Daniel, thank you very much for that. Yeah, great win for Hebburn Town this afternoon. From one winning manager to another, let's go to Elliot Dickman, the South Shields manager, who, after their win over Marine this afternoon, 2-0, a great result for them. Good evening, Elliot.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, it's always nice to win in front of your home fans, isn't it?
It certainly is. 1,800 people here today, and conditions are, on great up here in the northeast, and just delighted that we managed to keep a clean sheet and a good win for us.
And of course, it was Paul Blackett that scored twice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Paul's such a big player and such an important player for us. He scores goals. He's got a real eye for goal, but his all-round game is certainly developed and improved. But yeah, he's a goal machine, the lad, and we're just really, really grateful that he's part of our setup.
And it moves you back to moves you 9th and close to those playoff places again, which I guess is the most important thing.
Yeah, 2 points out just outside the playoffs.
2 points off Alfreton, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really important for us. I think today was certainly a game of 2 halves. I thought some of our football was excellent in the first half, and we scored 2 brilliant goals. And then second half, we showed a different side. I think people are quite quick to label us as being a little bit of a soft touch at times, and we've maybe not backed up performances. But fair play to the team and the players today. They certainly did that in testing conditions.
Yeah, and I guess it sets you up nicely going into the Christmas period, which is always difficult because it's always the local derbies. You got a trip to Spennymoor and then Darlington at home. How do you see how much you're looking forward to those games now after a win like that?
Yeah, we have to. I think we're back in training Monday. We'll be preparing the team as we normally do for what's going to be a difficult game at Spennymoor. Spennymoor are a tough team to play against it, either home or away. So I think we just got to make sure that we get our game plan right, and we need to make sure that we turn up. And on New Year's Day, hopefully, a similar sort of scenario where we're at home and we'll get a good crowd behind us, and hopefully it'll be a good game of football.
Indeed. Elliot, thank you very much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. Great win for South Shields this afternoon, moving them closer to the playoff places. One team that's moved closer to the playoffs as well is Dunstan in the East Division this afternoon. A 3-2 win away to Pontefract. The Dunstan manager, John McDonald, joins us now. It's always great to win on the road, isn't it, John?
It is. It's always a tough game at Pontefract. We've had some good contests with them over the years, but really difficult conditions today. The pitch was in, I think it's fair to say, terrible condition, and the wind was howling. So it definitely wouldn't have been first on match of the day, that's for sure. But to come away with 3 points, we're delighted. Yeah,
all managers have mentioned the conditions today. How do you sort of go about setting your team up and tactics-wise when you're having to play in conditions like that? Well, today it's the wind was actually going directly down the pitch. So first half we were under the cosh. They scored from a set play first, but we went in at half-time 2-1 to the good. And we knew we'd hopefully be able to control the game in the second half. And I felt like we did that, and we ended up getting our noses in front 3-1. But we got a man sent off with about 10 minutes left. So we reverted back to just trying to defend lots of long balls for the last 10 minutes. But to be fair to the lads, to a man, that hung in there, and we managed to get the 3 points. So over the moon with that, really. Yeah, and it moves you to a point off North Ferriby in those playoff places. Still, it's such a tight sort of league and fighting for those playoff places that every point matters in this division, doesn't it? It does. It's interesting this season because I think over the last kind of 3 or 4 seasons there's always been a standout team, but it doesn't feel like that's going to be the case this year. And you can see from the results every week that teams take points off everybody. So it's going to be nip and tuck to get into those playoffs, but I'm really confident with what we've got in the dressing room that we'll be in and around it, hopefully, like we were last season. Yeah, and you enter now, obviously, the busy period of around Christmas, and it's the local derbies now. You've got Newton Aycliffe and Ashington coming up, but I guess a bit like I mentioned to Elliot there, you go into confidence off a result like this today. It is, without a doubt. I mean, that's we've only lost 1 game in the last 10, I think it is. So we're a team in good form, and we know Newton Aycliffe are in good form. So it promises to be a good game on Boxing Day. I would suggest that both teams try and play football the right way. So it'll be different to today, but hopefully we'll get a good crowd in, and once again we can get 3 points. Yeah, it should make for a great match. Newton Aycliffe, who are 4th in the table as well. John, thank you very much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. A great result for Dunstan on the road today then. Paul Dixon, just your reaction to South Shields' result, and obviously you've just heard John speaking there about Dunstan's result on the road. 2 great managers who are running their clubs, and South Shields, brilliant at home. Elliot said there, maybe when they go away, they need to be a little bit tougher and dig things out to get a point and even a win away. But terrific at home. And John, he's a top manager. To go to Pontefract, it's not easy. And as he said there, they've only lost 1 in 10. So, they're pushing very much for the playoffs. I mean, I think they've got unfinished business, Dom. If you remember last year when they lost to Stockton in the playoffs, yeah. I think they want to put that right this year. Just some other results then. Paul Gateshead, expected win on the road today, 4-1. Carl Maganay, job done. Get back to the northeast, isn't it? Well, that's right. I mean,
you know, it's 3 points. It doesn't. If you're playing the top of the league, it's still just 3 points. They had to go to Ipswich today and do the job, and they give them no opportunity at all. They got a consolation goal one, but it was 4-1 and 3 great points. I mean, they've got 2 tough games over the holidays. They're playing York City and they're playing Hartlepool, so you know that'll set them up very nicely. They'll be ready to go into them 2 games. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, Morpeth with a win today, bouncing back after what happened last week.
Wow,
1-0 win over Gainsborough.
Well, that's a terrific result, because I seen them last week against Ashton, and you know they didn't play very well at all. But they must have had a few harsh words this week. And that's a terrific result, because Gainsborough been going very well this year.
Yeah, just back in the East Division. Concert winning today, Ashington winning, a really important result for them against Ossett down at the bottom of the league there. And just in the Northern League, Paul, the big game today was Blythe Town against Shildon. Blythe losing 5-0 at home.
Well, they wouldn't be expecting that. I mean, Shildon are a good team, but then again, you probably don't know what the wind has affected the performances
conditions
up
probably
there.
Played a big part today.
Yeah, because it's very open where Blythe Town play, but that'll be a bit of a disappointment for Blythe Town supporters, I think.
Indeed.
Getting 5-1 there.
Indeed. Paul Dixon, thank you very much for now. That was your local football roundup on BBC Radio Newcastle. Of course, we've had 2 big wins today for Newcastle and Sun, and all the reaction will be available on BBC Sounds. BBC Upload is next on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.